Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This is a beautiful day in the overall market. Yes, we might crash. Yes, we might have the bounce. Only time will tell. So I'm glad you're here with me today. I'm glad you've stuck around. And let's just go over the overall market to make we can see exactly what's happening in this overall market. We want to see what is the market telling us today? What is going on in the overall market? Well, the S&P 500, beautiful, just hanging in there over that $500. It's a psychological area, guys. It's a very psychological area, that 500, that solid price area of 500. It's trading at 501.09 currently at the moment. So let me turn on some music here. Let's get bumping, huh? Let me see what I can do for some music, guys. Here, there we go. Get a little lo-fi in the background. Good morning, good morning. It's good to see everybody. We're gonna go ahead and let me distract myself just for a quick second, and then we're gonna go over the S&P 500. We'll go over the QQQs. We'll go over the IWM. We'll ensure that everybody is up to date before market open. Market open is in 40 minutes, so we want to make sure that we have a better understanding of the overall market. So we're going to go over each and every one of those to ensure that we know what to look out for. Are we going to get another crash? Is this small bounce just a small bounce? Is the correction not over? Or is this not even a correction? Is this just a small bounce before we head much, much lower? That would be very, very nerve-wracking for most of us people. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. Beautiful. Let's see what else. Oh, and guys, we have the PMI data coming out today. We want to see that under 50. We want to see that under, yeah, there we go, B. Stewie. Set the tone, my brother. Good morning. Justin, what's going on, brother? Justin's from the Discord. Yeah, baby. Justin Crandall, what's going on? Good to see you, brother. Glad you guys can make it. Yeah, we got a lot to go over, guys, with the PMI data coming out. We want to see this lower, and I'll just bring up the economic data right now for you, so that way everybody has a better understanding of what's going on. So, let me bring it up. I'll bring it up on this screen here for you, and make sure that I got my information in front of me. We want to make sure I can see what you guys are saying. There we go. Bob the Builder, hit me, says Bob the Builder. Good morning, Bob. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining and taking good care of us while you were in here. Hopefully this thing, I don't know what's going on with my, there we go. Took a minute, but we got it, baby. The PMI is forecasted at 52. The actual, we will know in 54 minutes, actually, so make sure you stick around for that. We want to see that be below 50. If we can get this below 50, that would be the absolute best. Can you even see it? My big head's in the way. Right here it is. So the global U.S. manufacturing. This is going to show what we are paying for, what your well, actually, this is what's great about this. Instead of me trying to say it verbatim, I can actually say it verbatim just by clicking on the economic calendar. And if you guys aren't aware of that, it's an investing.com. There's an investing.com. There's the economic calendar. You click on that, it will tell you exactly what's going on for the day. You're going to want to filter that for U.S. and the highest the volatility, right? We don't want to look at what's going on in Japan. It's not going to affect the U.S. markets nearly as much as if you look at the U.S. and the highest volatility in the U.S. And one of the highest is going to be this PMI index. So the PMI is the Purchasing Manufacturers Index. It measures the activity and level of purchasing manufacturers in the manufacturing sector. Now, if it's above 50, that means that there is a lot of purchasing going on. And if it's below 50, that is going to show us that there is not as much purchasing power going on. Well, what do we want to see? Well, it sounds like we want to have higher purchasing power, right? We want to be buy. But with the economy as resilient as it has been, and with old Papa Powell being out there and saying, hey, we have these Fed rate hikes at 5.5%, and which we'll go over all that in just a minute, but at 5.5%, we want to ensure that this is not getting too rampant. We don't want all that spending. We want to see things slow down. We don't want to see them stop by any means. We don't want to see them stop. Zamora, Thank you for joining us, Zamora. Zamora has just joined the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to see it slow down. We don't want it to come to a halt. We want to see it slow down. So with that PMI data coming out below 50 at a forecasted of 52, I think anything over 50 is not going to look good for the overall market. But we're going to see how well the data is taken by the overall market. So we'll see that very, very soon here, guys. So keep that in mind. Now, let me go ahead and bring up a few other things that we were just talking about in the Discord room, and that was the current inflation. So we can see here in 2023, the current inflation starting in January was 6.4. By the end of October, we were down to 3.2. Now this year, we started off beautifully in 2024 with a 3.1. But now we're all the way up in March at 3.5. Now, May 15th, we'll talk about April's inflationary data because it's always a month behind, right? We have the inflation data and we are seeing what's going on, and then bada bing, bada boom, you know, you got a better understanding of what is actually taking place in the market, right? It's a month behind. So will this data in May show April's inflationary data higher or lower? I believe it's going to come out higher just by seeing everything in the market, all the data that we've been getting with the higher jobs, the higher CPI, the higher PPI, the higher PMI. All that data coming out has been showing that we are very resilient in this economy. Now, I wish that was just such a good thing. I wish it was such a good concept. Yeah, Dan Bob, could you do me a favor? If you would be so kind, go ahead and post this in the in the chats, in all the chats, I should probably do that really quick. I'll do it really quick. Just bear with me, guys. I want to make sure I get everything posted needed to in order to make sure we have the full poll. So that's the US data there, guys. We want to make sure that we understand that data. When we have that data and that data's in, we need to make sure we understand it well. Because if we don't understand the inflationary data and why or what this PMI is entailing, then this information's useless, right? We need to make sure that information is coming out, and when it comes out, you understand what it implies, right? So when it comes out, you have a better understanding of which way the market's going to head. Even if the PMI data comes out better than expected, in the sense of bullish for the market, so lower, and it goes higher, that doesn't necessarily mean that the market's just going to take off. It just means that the data is starting to add up, which can always be a good thing. Oh, Bob, thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and also pin it. I'll pin it into theirs as well, so that way they know where to join there. So let me just go ahead and do that really quick, guys. And if you have any questions of any tickers, Zamora, we're going to be going over GM, and I'll just pull that up. I'll do that in just actually. I got GM right here on the tentative earnings, so I won't forget to do that. But let me go ahead and post in our friends over here at Stock Market watch list. And make sure that they know that we are live as well, so they don't miss out on this opportunity to get live analysis, commentary, and trading, baby. That's what we do, and you know I love to do it. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with me, because I'm just happy to be here myself. So what we are going to do now, guys, is go over the overall indices, and then we will look over the stock tickers to see what you guys are wanting me to take a little peeky gander at. And we will do that right now. So the S&P 500, again, is over that psychological $500 area. That is a beautiful thing to see. We definitely want to ensure that we're over that 500. Now, if we teeter in this area, our best bet is to hold a new higher low at 495.27. And if not, our last straw is at 493.77. We're hoping that this bounce can continue. Now, I know the clickbait title says market crash, but that is what is on everybody's mind. Is the market going to crash? That really, really is the question here. Now, what we're going to do, the SPY over 500 right now, looking like we're going to have a beautiful bounce in the market this morning, but time will tell. The market is going to be opening in about 33 minutes, so let's stay tuned for that. Also, let's go ahead and look at the QQQs. and the IWM, and then we'll go over GM and Mara as Justin asked for as well. So the QQQs is at 418.82. It looks like it's holding most of its gains from yesterday. If anything, it's actually above its closing area price of 418, now trading at 420.63. The QQQs is looking very resilient here. Let's look at the IWM now. So the IWM actually looked very healthy. It actually led this bounce, which I thought was very interesting because the IWM is usually the lagger here, and I really expected it. If you guys were with me in the Discord, I talked 2 mornings ago of a bounce off the 200-day moving average. But the IWM, it didn't have a full 6-day sell-off here. There was a few days in between, right here and right here, that you can see that it did not sell off as hard. Here, I'll just maximize this sell for you. You can see this sell-off, this 6-day sell-off. Out of these 6 days, we have a couple of days here where they did not sell off nearly as hard as the S&P 500 or the QQQs. That being said, it looks like here it's already on its 2nd day push to the north side. So that's very interesting to see with the IWM there. Okay, so that's what we want to see. That's not what I expected to see from the IWM. I expected to see a bounce off the 200-day moving average if you were with me in the Discord. Now, the GM. So let's look at GM because we had Zamora talked about GM, and I thought this was kind of interesting because it kind of looks like IWM, how it trades sideways off these bottoms, and now we're getting this push. Well, IWM had earnings, and they came out at just over $2, though the expected was just over $2, $2.05. They came out at $2.62. So we're showing a nice little push here. The push is only up 4.5%, which is very high. That's double the average daily range, so that's nice. Now, if we look at it, we can see that we have this price area of just over $40 that we need to make sure we stay above. If not, I think GM is going to be to the sell side, but we're above a 200-day moving average, and it's curling to the north side. So GM is looking good right now, and it did come out with better than expected earnings. Let's take a look at Mara, lovely Mara. Why do we want to look at Mara? Well, we know that Mara had held, or actually we should say Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first, because here's the thing. If you're going to look at Mara, you're going to want to take a look at the leader, which is going to be Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin fails, Mara is to fail. But if Bitcoin rises, Mara is to rise. Now, that's not always true because Bitcoin or Mara is a miner, meaning they mine for Bitcoin, right? So here is our Bitcoin. And if you want to know what these white lines are here, they are very important VWAP areas. We take the highs of both of these highs and the lows of its most previous low, and it shows where the most volume weighted average price is. And it's very important to know that because you can actually see how important it is. I talked about this this bounce here, you know, off of these lows when everybody was thinking this was the end of Bitcoin. This is a panic, but we can see it held right at that VWAP area. You can see institutional ownership buying this up here at this VWAP area, and now it's starting to slow here at these VWAP tops. Now the question is, can it break through? Well, I am seeing Bitcoin finding some resistance, and we can move in on the 30-minute time frame. We can see some resistance here on this area. You can see right here it came up to this top. It bounced around off of this VWAP from previous and this most recent high, and it's bouncing in between. So the question is, where is it going to end up, above or below this area? And I think that is going to be more inclination of what's going to happen to Mara. So let's go back to Mara now, and now we can see Mara here. It's up here at these highs. They had a nice V-shaped recovery, and now it's starting to head higher. Is this going to be its bottom? Well, if we zoom out a little bit further, let's go ahead and bring up this chart so you can see it a little clearer. If we look at this chart, whoa, getting a little wonky here, Dave. If we look at this chart, you can see we had this beautiful uptrend that it broke through. So now we have to readjust this, and we'll see. Look, this is nice and clean. This is nice and clean off this low. Now it needs to hold this area. So if you were to take a trade in Mara and you really believed in the miners for whatever reason, you can have any reason, whatever you want, you would have to unfortunately use this 418 as your low. So if you're comfortable with having a risk that low, this might be a nice area to get in. But I would personally want to wait to see what Bitcoin did in this area, excuse me guys, in this area that it's bouncing around in. So you can see it's getting a bounce off this low. If it's going to break through this top and reach new highs, I think Bitcoin has more room to run to get up even higher, maybe even make new highs. But until that happens, we're kind of just playing around in the middle here, which makes things a little bit harder to foresee. Now, with the overall market, the way it is, we are seeing a bounce, and we're also seeing the bounce start with Bitcoin and small caps. So that might actually be a beautiful thing. Carly Worrell, my beautiful, beautiful Carly Worrell, good to see you. I'm glad you are here. Justin wants to know about spot. Bob the Builder said up homeboy. Sup homeboy Justin. I thought that was a ticker. I thought the S was a dollar sign. I was like, oh, we'll look up and we'll see what's going on. All right, I see spot. I see NVIDIA. I see all of that. So we'll go ahead. Oops, sorry, I dropped you guys here. I'll just throw you up here. All right, so let's take a look at spot, and then we will look at NVIDIA. So spot, let me just zoom out here. So SPOTs, that's Spotify, guys. We can see a nice ramp up in Spotify. You can see it's up over 10%. That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing for SPOT. Why is that? Well, because this is a bounce off the 50-day moving average. This, anything over 10%, you can be considered as that gap up short, or the gap up continuation play that I like to see. So this might actually be, if the market is going to continue higher, this might actually be a play to the north side. So I do like seeing this, and this might be something we want to keep a better eye on when the market actually opens up. So maybe we go ahead and keep a very close eye on that. All right, so we'll definitely keep an eye on spot. Let me just make sure. Okay, this is really weird though. The PMI data coming out in 40 minutes is just really messing me up here, guys. Like it usually does not. It usually comes out around 8:30, and they're coming out just after market open. Kind of gives me a little, inclination that, it's just gonna be really volatile, guys. We need to be really, really careful. That's all I'm saying. It's gonna be volatile. We need to be careful. So be very attentive with that. You might see your screen moving around real quick, just a little bit. I want to get this in here a little bit better so you guys can see this. I didn't realize that I had it so wonky. Let's give you guys some more information to look at here. Here we go. That's better. That's better. All right. Yeah, we kind of set up on the fly this morning. It was pretty quick, so you got to be really careful with that. Let's go ahead and hide this. We don't want any hackers in here. All right, anyway, guys, good morning. Good to see ya. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to come back to spot. I definitely want to keep an eye on spot, so remind me, we're going to come back and look at spot. But NVIDIA, so NVIDIA here has this beautiful uptrend. This is very nice to see. If you guys look, I took it off the base here, and it just held this beautiful trend line. So we're going to see if this 5-minute is going to do well. B. Stewie, I'm on it, baby. We're in the nerve center, baby. I can't take your line, right? Because people are gonna think I'm in the nerve center, but I am in the nerve center, just at your spot on the big screen, baby. So let's go. I'm in the nerve center, baby. But yeah, guys. So NVIDIA looks like it's trying to hold this area. It's well above its previous highs, which is great to see in the pre-market. Now, whenever I see this in the pre-market, I expect a pullback in order to see where it's gonna bounce off of. So we'll see if it wants to do that today. If not, and it wants to continue higher, I'm A-okay with that. I say rip, tater chip, let it fly, baby. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. But before we carry on, I just want to continue to keep a close eye on the S&P 500, which is still making new highs, guys, in pre-market. It has not beat its previous high, but anything over that $500 area is going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let's look at the QQQs now. The QQQs up here, it looks like it's starting to create a double top in the pre-market. Now, pre-market we don't care so much about. We just want to see it hold its previous close. That's what we want to see here. And if it can hold that previous close, that's going to look bullish as long as we can pull back in the morning and hold those previous close, that red to green area that a lot of people keep an eye on. Now, it had an inside day yesterday, so maybe it has another inside day before taking off. But what we're really looking for, and my buddy Adam You guys know Adam. I think everybody in here knows Adam. Might be a couple of you that don't. But Adam brought up just the other day that, watch the charts. Adam brought up just the other day what the William O'Neill, the push, wow, I'm really stuttering here. Maybe I should take a little sip. This one's for me. We're talking about a follow-through day, guys. The William O'Neill's IBD or IBM, the Investors Business Daily, they talk about that follow-through day. So when we look at the S&P 500, we want to get that follow-through day. Now, if you were with me in Discord this morning, we talked about this, but don't get it twisted. We need to hear this over and over and again. I need to hear it over and over again because this is a very, very key point. Guys, if we look back here, I'll give you an example of a follow-through day. This was beautiful. We talked about this in the Discord last night. Let me blow up this cell so you guys can see this. We got this big push up here on volume, right? And this is between 5 and 7 days here. After we get a big push up on volume, we're looking for a follow-through day. Well, you can see that right here. We get a push up through on a higher volume. This is considered a volume or a push through on or a follow-through day. After that follow-through day, look, it never looks back. I'll just mark this volume, this follow-through day right here. I'll put it in green, okay? And let's say you took any trade, any leader in the market, because that's what we watch. We watch the leaders. We watch what does relatively well during the market pullbacks. And when we have those market pullbacks, we're looking for the leaders. Now, this is the follow-through day on higher volume that pushes up on volume and then higher volume. Boom, it pops through. We zoom out. Look what we got here, guys. This is beautiful. It showed the market run. This called the bull market here. A beautiful thing. So what are we looking for over here? Well, we get a nice push up. Maybe we continue to push up on higher volume, and then boom, we get a follow-through day on higher volume. That would be absolutely beautiful for the overall market. And that's when we know that this was just simply a correction and we can head higher. But we also need to understand, guys, all of this selling, every push that we had was on lower volume, and every pullback that we had was on higher volume. So we need to keep that in mind that we have had a lot of distribution in this market, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see if we can get up and above. So let's go ahead and throw this up over here, and we need to bring up the CME. So this is another thing I wanted to go over with you guys while you are here. And we went over this in the Discord once this morning, but again, it might be repetitive, but it's very, very important to understand what's going on in this overall market, guys. So keep that in mind. So this is the Fed rate tool. If you guys aren't aware of this, I can put this up in the chat. I'll throw this in the Discord right now so everybody is aware of this Fed rate tool. That way you can be a little bit easier on, oh, I'll take a look at PBF, baby. Oh, I'll take a look at it, B. Stewie, no problem. Give me 1 second. Let me post this in the Discord here for everybody. So this is the Fed rate tool. This is what shows like the future outlook. And you'll see anytime we have big data come out, like we have that PMI data coming out very, very soon. When that PMI data comes out, you're going to want to understand that this Fed rate tool will change. Now, I've been saying for months now, May is to stay, okay? Next month, they were expecting to do a Fed rate cut, right? Nylish, good morning. Good morning. I'm glad you could be in here. I'm glad you're not working your tail off like always. But it's good to see you in here, brother. So right now we're talking about the Fed rate tool, guys, and we're talking about the PMI data that comes out very, very soon here, probably within the next 30 minutes here. The Fed rate data is going to come out at 9:41, I think was the odd number that they gave us. Now, when that data comes out, it's going to change this Fed watch tool. It's going to change. It's constantly changing. It's constantly updating. And one of the things you'll see with this, if it comes out better than expected, you'll see this rate start to go up a little bit, right? But as of right now in May, I don't really care what the PMI data comes out. You can see at 97.5%, it's going to be in May we stay, okay? So in May we stay. It's going to be, we're going to stay at 5.5% because old Papa Powell 100% is dedicated, especially if you guys were here when I streamed the last, the last chat, or I'm sorry, when I streamed the last live data when he was doing his speech, he was very hawkish. He said, you know, he was talking to our Canadian friends up north. Hi, Adam. Our Canadian friends up north. He talked about how it's pinnacle to stay the course. You know, one of his favorite books is by Volcker, which is Staying the Course. You know, he talks about it in his book, which actually I looked it up the other day. It's only $15, so I might get that book and read that next. But it's all about those Fed rate hikes and that you need to stay the course, because if you let up on this on rate hikes, if you let up on them too soon, you'll have inflation just go rampant. And you don't want that inflationary data to go rampant, because if it does, it's hard to get it back down. You'll have to do some crazy things to get it back down. And what do they do when inflation's high to get it back down? Well, they raise interest rates. They'll raise interest rates like crazy. So we need to be very, very careful at staying the course. So right here, you can see in May, we stay. In June, we have a likelihood of also staying that 5.2 to 5.0. We're at 5.5, and we're probably going to stay as of right now in June. It's 86% that we stay. In July, we have a 34% chance of getting a 0.25% cut. 34% chance is still not very high, so we need to keep that in mind. 61.6% is a quarter that to keep that 5.5%. Okay, so at 61, now September is where we get that change. September is looking like we might actually get that 0.25% rate cut. It's actually a higher chance in September that we will actually get that quarter rate cut than we will, oh, Bob, yeah, my hair is messed up. I'm telling you guys, what kind of hair, I'm about to go mullet. I'm about to go mullet and dye this thing like bleach blonde. Just for the channel, baby, just for attention. No, yeah, my hair is messed up, Bob. It's all good. But yeah, so we got a quarter rate hike expected, a quarter rate cut at 45.8% in September. And then in November, we actually can see that we have a bigger chance of by November actually getting that quarter rate cut. So it's a beautiful thing to actually see there is finally in November getting that cut. So that being said, this PMI data is going to be very, very important. Very, very important, guys. So we need to keep that in mind. Excuse me if your screens go wonky. Let me just double check here. There we go. So yeah, that right there is in a gist of why this PMI data is going to be so important, because inflation, if I haven't showed you guys this, inflation right now, guys, is rampant. I mean, we need to get this. If it's going to come back up, we need to get a hand on this. We need to get it under control. If not, he's just going to hold that. He's just going to hold that there. So now let's go to PBF for my boy B. Stewie in the nerve center. So PBF is an energy sector. So that's why it's very important that we look at this. And if you guys remember last year, I was talking about this area right here, right? B. Stewie remembers. We talked about this coming up into here. We talked about sell-offs in this area, and it did. It came back up in this area, and it sold off, right? Well, then look what happened recently. It came up in this area, and it broke above it. Well, what happens when it breaks a key area of resistance? Well, it pushes through, and it pushes harder, and then it created this top here, and it started to sell back off. Now look, if we can just extend this, because why not? Now we extend this, it breaks through, it creates a new higher low, and it pushes up higher. So now it looks like it's on this beautiful trajectory to the north side. Now we've talked about energy, and if you look at PBF, you're gonna wanna look at XL. Thank you, Carly, I hope you do. Very, very soon. XLE is our energy sector. Look at PBF looks very similar to XLE. Now, if you guys want to know what looked exactly like XLE, that would be XOM. So if you're going to look at PBF, you're going to look at the overall Trust Energy ETF, and that's XLE. Now, we talked about this breakout here. It did break out. It broke up higher. It came back down. It retested this area, and now it looks like it wants to head higher. So let's zoom in to get a little bit more data. Let me put this on the hourly so we have a better understanding, right? So look, it broke up higher, it broke up through, it came back down. You've seen a lot of this weird, it just looks different here, right? And then it created this base, made a new higher low, and now it's heading higher. So this looks like energy is going to want to continue higher. So what do I look at? XOM. Why? Because XOM is the leader in XLE. So if you're looking at PBF, we want to look at XLE, we want to look at XOM, we want to correlate all of them together to get a better understanding of what's going on with that sector, right? So XOM, you guys can see, I created this area, it broke below that area, I call that the undercut, and then you have the rally. The undercut, the rally, okay, on higher volume, and now it pushes higher. Nice, beautiful pullback here, which might be a nice area to get in using these lows. Now, these aren't buy or sell recommendations. These are my thoughts, not yours. So let's just keep an eye on this, okay? XOM is going to be very important. So back to PBF, yes, it looks like we are getting a pullback in PBF right here. Now, are we going to sustain this area of support right here? This is a clear area of support right here at $55, damn near even, guys. 55 even. Now this is a slower mover at 3.2%, but it's not a big boat like your ETF, so this still would make you some money if you wanted to play off this area. So Beastie, I do appreciate you bringing this up, because with this upward trajectory, breaking away off these bases, forming a new base at, look at, I made this 55 area over here. If we zoom out even further on the daily, and we write that 55 right here, you can see, guys, you can see this is an area of resistance that we broke above. What does resistance become after we break above it? It becomes support. Now look, it breaks above this area, and now it's being supported by this area. This might be a beautiful area to take a long in. And you know what? I might just put my money where my mouth is today, guys. So we'll do just do a small trade here just while we're on this, because I do like this, B. Stewie, and I know we've been talking about PBF on this channel for over a year now, and I have not found a good way to enter this trade. So I'm just going to do this now for you guys. This might be a small loss, but I'm going to show you how I do it, right? So we're at 56.90. We're just going to call it 57 to make things easier, and then our low is 55. So if we're going to risk 55 to 57, that's $2. How much money do I want to risk on this? Let's say we risk $50. That means I can take 25 shares. So I'll go to this active trader and I will do 25 shares. We know 25 shares when it breaks this low of 55, and I'll give it a little bit more room. I'll give it a little bit more room, you know, 54.75, so a little bit more than that $50, okay? And what we'll do is we'll take 25 shares of this, and then we'll set our stop loss. So at the market open, we're gonna want to buy the, bid, right? Because I never buy the market. We'll buy the bid. The bid is all the way down here at 56.11 currently is what it's showing the bid. The ask price is 58.47. So if we can get a quick flush and it can grab me in 25 shares of this, that'll actually increase my ability to hold this, because the $50 won't be a full $50. It'll be a little less than that, because we took 57. Now it's trying to get me in around 56. So it'll be a slightly better risk reward here. So we're going to try and buy that bid at the market open. We'll keep an eye on it. I have it on my current positions over here, so that way we don't forget about it. Now PBF, if it can hold this $55 level and we head up to the north side at 3.2% a day, this might be a nice little push higher, and it might be one to hold until the energy sector isn't so hot anymore. Now, I will say this, if this doesn't work out and it stops me out, that will show me that the energy is got that blow off steam, right? It means it's coming, it's going to want to come back down and find some support, maybe down here in that 45 area, and I want to be out. So I'm risking little to make a lot, and that's the best way to do it. Now Zamora says PEP. I'm wondering if that is a ticker. So PepsiCo. So Pepsi is a big boat of a stock. It's a very slow mover. These aren't ones that I usually like to trade, but I will say it is making newer highs from its previous lows. So this is a good look for PEP. It also had earnings that just came out, and their earnings showed that they were they didn't beat their earnings. They actually lost on their earnings by a few pennies, but they are still showing strong. So they didn't take that as a bad thing. I will say this though, on a 200-day moving average outlook, it looks like Pepsi is starting to trend down. You can see this 200-day moving average is starting to head down to the downside. Now guys, we have about 8 more minutes till market open. So if you have any more tickers that you want me to take a look at, please let me know as soon as possible, because when the market opens, I'm going to be looking all over the place to see if we have any cool trades that we can take for the day, so I can do it in front of you live on the screen, because that's what everybody seems to like and love. Other than that, there's a few other things that I could go over while we are here. First of all, let's look at spot and see what spot's doing here. Spot is acting a little wonky on the 1 hour. Let's look at the 5 minute here. Look at, oh, so this is a misprint here, guys. At least that's what they call them. Sometimes we could go into conspiracy theories and say this is a dark pool wick, you know, and if you don't know what a dark pool wick, I'm not going to explain that on here, but it's where there are like third parties that somebody has a bunch, you know, that they can sell, and other people have a bunch that they can buy, and then they just trade it off instead of trying to do it in the pre-market or aftermarket. So they do all their buying and selling right here. It goes more in depth than that. That's kind of the talking out of the butt scenario there. You know, I don't 100% know what dark pools are. There are books on it. But yeah, it's basically a third party that has a lot of shares, and they're buying and selling equities outside of your usual, you know, Thinkorswim, or, you know, your Trade Zeros, or your Cobras, you know, your brokerage systems, right? They're doing it in a bigger area. So Spotify does look like it's holding up, or at least it's trying to hold up here. So this might be a beautiful thing to actually take. That's right, B. Stewie. Remember, guys, you're a loser unless you're learning. And B. Stewie is always learning, and I absolutely love the fact, B. Stewie, that you've been here from the very, very start. Love to see you in here, brother. Love that I am up in the Nerve Center. You have been a huge support. Yeah, you've been a huge supporter of this channel, so I appreciate you being with me all throughout this journey. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, Spotify is definitely going to be on the watch list right at that market open. We got 6 minutes till that. And then, of course, if we look at the earnings calendar, we got 38 minutes, which is so weird that they're coming out at the time that they're coming out, to see what that global U.S. manufacturing PMI data comes out. Now, remember, the forecast is 52. We want to see it under 50. If we can get that under 50, that would look very bullish for the overall market, and we might see a nice push to the north side. The only other thing that I'm in right now is KLG, which is Kellogg. It's a slower mover at 3.8%, which is faster than the general market, right? But KLG, we just bought here at that 10-day moving average. I'm not expecting it to break out here today, but if the overall market wants to take it higher, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I bought it down here at 21.39. I'll just mark that out down here for you. 21.39. And this was brought to me by our handsome moderator, Dan Bob Dan. He brought this up to me, wanted me to take a look at it, and I said, hey, the last time it touched its 10-day moving average, we got a nice bounce, and then we got another bounce, and now we're here at the 10-day moving average. Will this consumer cyclical or consumer staple bounce one more time? So yeah, Bob, everybody, I believe everybody in this room is already in the Discord. Yeah, I think everybody in here is already subscribed. Everybody's already in the Discord, so that's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Bob. I do appreciate you staying on top of it, though. Best moderator 2024 and forever and ongoing. So Bob, thank you for moderating for me. I do appreciate every bit of your help. Huge help. So PBF, yeah, we're going to see if this thing wants to get me in today. That would be absolutely beautiful. Now, before the market opens in 3 minutes and 42 seconds, let's go ahead and take a look at where the overall market stands. 501.75. The market sits right now, the S&P 500. Like I said, guys, we'd like to see that psychological area of 500 hold. That would be beautiful. That would be holding previous day's close. That would be holding the psychological level of 500. And you can see right here, it came down to that 500 and said, boing, and it just rised right up out of those ashes. We're going to see if it wants to continue to hold. That would be just beautiful. Now, let's take a look at the QQQ, the tech-heavy QQQ that led the market to the north side and then led the market to the south side. Very volatile, now trading at 420.80. That is beautiful to see. It almost reached its previous day high, but well above its previous day close. So that's a very good sign. Let's look at the IWM, which actually, oddly enough to say, led this bounce, but still much lower than the rest of the overall markets. Now trading at 195.17. We're going to see if this wants to hold out to the north side. I think if spot wants to hold out up here and the market wants to continue higher, I might actually take spot for that gap up earnings play. I'm not going to risk much just because of where the market sits right now, and we're in a correction. So I'm not going to take much. It'll probably just be a small risk of $25 or $50 on that. But I would like to see spot on the 1 minute or the 5 minute. I might try two different spots. So we'll try the 1 minute, we'll try the 5 minute, and we'll see what happens there. But let's look at our good old friend NVIDIA before we start. I see you, Predator. What's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Thanks for joining us, brother. Do appreciate you. I'm glad you don't have a ton of meetings to deal with today, that you can focus on your trading, or at least the market. If you're not focused on your trading, at least focus on the market. It will help your trading in the very near future. Yes, guys, so we have 1 minute 45 seconds and 16 minutes till that PMI data comes out. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in this overall market. Now, NVIDIA bouncing off this area that I drew out. This is just a simple uptrend. This is basic technical analysis. If you see an uptrend, you can play off the uptrend, especially if we think that there's going to be a bounce on the north side. If you have a bias to the north side and you find these trend patterns, you can play off these trend patterns. But remember, we want to be the house, we don't want to be the player. So let's make sure that we can make big money if we're going to play it. So NVIDIA bouncing off that area at 808 even currently right now in the market. So we're going to keep our eye on SPOT for that gap up continuation play. And remember, guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, risk management is key. I might yell out tickers, I might say things, but heck, I don't know nothing and I don't know how to trade. So don't follow me. Don't do anything silly. Don't do nothing dumb. Make sure if you take a trade, it's your trade, it's not mine, right? And if it's my trade, it's mine, it's not yours. So keep that in mind, guys. Risk management is key. We got 30 seconds till market open. So I want everybody to be ready, aware, and make sure that you are prepared. So let's just go back through one more time with 30 seconds left to go. The S&P 500 looks like it's trying to hold out at these highs at 501, QQQ at 420.80, still holding much, much higher. The IWM looking beautiful at 195.27, now above its previous close. So its previous close was 195.02. So yeah, it's just above that previous close. So good luck, everybody. I don't have my bell with me. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Good luck. Let's be safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. All right, NVIDIA right off the rip starts to pop. Nice little pop there. Let's look at spot. Spot looks like right at morning. Oh, it doesn't look like spot's moving at all. What the hell? All right, it looks like I am in that PBF, so we'll see what PBF wants to do. So right away, guys, when I know that I'm in, it pulled back nice and hard for me, got me in my 25 shares. Let me show you on active trader here. So I'm in at 56.11. I'll go ahead and mark this out for you guys. 56.11 right here. This is where we got in. Actually, let me change this to the green. Got in at 56.11, and our stop is going to be right down here at these lows at 54.84. Okay, and so what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make sure 25's up on the board. I will make sure we come down to this area of 54.80. We'll do 54.81. That's my stop limit. Oh, I got to change this to day. And then I'll punch my stop limit in for right there. And then I always like to replace this and change it till good till close. So that way, if I come back tomorrow or I'm not in front of my desk tomorrow, you know, we know that it's still up there. Okay, so now let's go back to the S&P 500, see where it's at. Looks like a nice little pullback there, the QQQs. It's just trading right where it opened at, and the IWM is pushing up higher. Nice little push right there, first thing in the morning. So we'll see what happens with that. SPOT, look at this beautiful push to the north side. That's what you like to see when we are strong. What kind of volume is coming in for that? A lot. It looks like a lot of volume is coming in for that. So the 1 minute did break out. It did push higher. I missed my chance of getting in for that. Wow, guys, so 3.8%. Let's just see if that would have been plausible. Yeah, that would have been a plausible take right there. If it can come back down, I'll get in there. If not, I'll have to wait for the 5 minute range break. If this 5 minute range break on the next thing is plausible at 5.3%, the ADR is 3.8%, so that's not the best take. I might not be able to get into it now. That 1 minute time frame was the best to get in. So if it wants to come down here and get me in at 306, risking 298, that's going to be $8 risk, so we'll take 4 shares at that price. But the best bounces don't get you in back where you wanted to, so I can go ahead and put a bid out here. So I got a limit bid for that 1 minute range break if it wants to get me in, but I won't be able to take the 5 minute now. And why would I allow myself to take, there we go, I'm in. Now we're gonna go ahead and set our stop at the low of day. So this is the 1 minute range break on a gap up continuation play. Why am I playing this? Well, there's a few reasons. One, we had an earnings beat, which can be a very big surprise, right? It was only expected to get 62 cents on its earnings per share, but yet it beats with a $1.30. So that's like a 60-cent gap, right? Like that's beautiful. So when it comes back, when we look on the 1 minute here, I want to take a 1 minute range break. Why am I taking this 1 minute range break? Well, the volume is very beautiful here. This is what you want to see with a gap up continuation play, or an EP, some people call these, but I don't want to get in any arguments for people who do play EPs, because there are going to be a pretty crazy bunch out there. So now, why wouldn't I take this at the 5 minute, but I want it at the 1 minute? Well, if we look at the average daily range, the average daily range is 3.8%. Okay, that's beautiful to see. So we pull this from the top to its low, because this is where I got in. This is the expected loss. The expected loss would be at 2.7%, and the average daily range is 3.8%. So that's going to tell me today whether or not I'm going to make money on this. And if this wants to continue higher, I will get my money's worth on the average daily range each and every day, higher and higher. We got GEV going off, guys. I'll have to go take a look at that. So we are in spot. I already have my stop loss. I'm going to go ahead and switch this, just because I always have good habit of switching it till close. Meaning if I walk away today and I come back tomorrow, or I don't open up my screen tomorrow, this close, this stop loss that I have put in here will be there tomorrow when I come in. So we're up about $6 on this position. Let's go look at PBF. It looks like we're down about $4.88 on this. Looks like B Stewie got in at 55.89. So that's a good, oh wow, you picked it up right off that low. So did you get a better price than me? You did get a better price than me. B Stewie with the snag, brother. Good for you, man. So we're going to see if energy wants to continue to pull back. That's actually going to look good for the overall market. So if PBF wants to continue to pull back, it's most likely because the market's going to go higher. But we're not seeing that same correlation here. So is XOM going to continue higher? It looks like it also is going to pull back. So we're going to see XOM retesting this area of this low. So we'll see. Let's look at the overall markets. The S&P 500 looks like it's pulling back. Now, after a big push like this, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it came back and retested this $500 area. It would not surprise me at all. So we'll see if it wants to do that. It's trying to linger around that 501.50 area. The QQQs, on the other hand, look like it had a beautiful push, a pullback, and it's trying to just linger in this 421 area now. So if it wants to do that, that would be absolutely beautiful to see as well. And let's take a look at the IWM, because if you remember, guys, when we were looking at the IWM, yes, it's still pushing higher. 195.50 is right around where it's holding. Let's look at KLG. So it looks like we're up about $100 total on this position, and it does look like it's breaking out of this base. That is beautiful. So Bob Dan, go ahead and take a look at our trade from yesterday. You can see that ended up breaking out. Now, I don't usually take anticipatory breakouts like this, but we were looking at consumer staples, and when you look at consumer staples, you can see that consumer staples are hot right now. What do I mean by hot? Well, I mean when the market was pulling back, people were putting their money into consumer staples and in the utilities. Well, Bob brought up that this was a 3.7% mover. It was on an uptrend, and it didn't show any pullbacks during that pullback that we had in the S&P 500 and the QQQs. What does that mean? Well, if a stock is holding strong, it's showing leading investors are not selling out on their position. So if they're not going to sell out on their position, that means it is stronger than the overall market. That is called RS, or relative strength. We preach about this on this channel. Relative strength is extremely important. KLG is relatively strong. And if I bring up KLG right here, KLG, we'll look at the relative strength just to see if I can put my money where my mouth is, right? So let's zoom out here and let's take a look. 98% relative strength rating right there. Read them and weep, baby. 98%. You don't get much higher than that. Well, I guess you can by 1 point, but 98% RS rating is a absolute beautiful thing. And now breaking out of that channel on the top at all-time highs, and now blue skies, baby. You love to see blue skies. Now we're up about $104 on that trade. We want to see that continue higher. Now let's go back and see our friend Spot. So Spot's having a hard time now in this area getting above its previous highs, this push this morning at 314.91. We're going to see if this thing wants to continue higher. If it does, we'll be able to hold. We're only up about $12 on this trade right now, but these, if it is a real gap up continuation or an EP play, this won't take long. This thing will skyrocket and it will slowly build new higher highs. Why did it stop right there at the top? Well, if we look at the daily, we can see right here, I'll just mark it out so you can see it on that 5 minute. Right here is an area of resistance. It got right up above that area of resistance and then started to fail here. So that meaning if it can't get above that, this might be more of a short than a long, because I've heard of this before. In shitty markets, what you'll see is if we cannot continue higher and we start to head lower, you'll see a gap up and then you'll get a clear of a high of day, and then you'll start to see everything start to fail here. But I cannot switch my bias now. I've already taken this trade to the north side, and if the market wants to continue on this bounce, then we will continue with this trade. If not, this will be obviously a short, and hindsight will work best in that situation. So we're gonna wait to see what SPOT does for us. We are in the trade right here. I'll go ahead and mark this out for you guys. We took this trade at 306.81-ish. And we are using its low of day as our stop out. So we're going to see what it wants to do. If this is an outlier, let's say the market does pull back and Spot continues to ride higher, that would be crazy. That would be crazy to see, but I would love to see it, obviously, because some of us are in it, right? Let's go back to PBF. Let's see, okay, so PBF looks like it did finally find its area of support. It looks like it found its support at 55.75 or 55.75-ish, and it's starting to ramp up higher. Now, I don't like to see these gaps in between this play. What do I mean by that? You see a gap from 56.09 all the way up here to 56.16. So that's a big gap in between there. It means people are jumping on top of themselves or trying to buy the ass. They're just buying whatever's out there to get into this. Now that's good because we're in it and it's heading to the upside. You want to see people stepping over each other to get into it. But it usually, and right there it is, you're going to see a gap fill, right? We want to see this tighten up. So right now there's about a 30-cent range, about a 30-cent range, meaning between the bid and the ask, there's a 30-cent range. So we'd like to see that tighten up, some more volatility come into this market, and it to head higher. Now, it looks like KLG has finally hit its area where it wants to pull back and show us where support might be. The S&P 500 also did the same thing, and now I can only guess that SPOT will probably pull back from here. So we'll see how the overall market's doing. Let's take a look at QQQs. QQQs is just trading sideways, and I'm going to take a sip. This one's for me, not for you. This is a really odd energy drink. It's something my little brother likes to drink, so I'd say that's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Well, I'd say this is a pretty good market open. It's just kind of lingering sideways. It does not want to make up its mind. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing. Good old NVIDIA. Look at this. It's bouncing off this support here. It's really bouncing off the support here. Will it be able to hold the support? That's the key point here, because if it breaks down from the support, it might head down lower faster. So we're going to see. So if it breaks down from here, guys, that's going to be all over for NVIDIA. It's probably going to head right back down to those previous lows. But what do I know? I'm just a big talking head with a messed up hairdo. I need to get a haircut. I think the old wifey is going to do that for me today. So guys, if you have anything that you're watching that you want to see, if not, I'm going to manage my positions and I'm going to keep on watching the overall market. And if you're new to this channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Here, I'll even show you how to do it. Look at my screen. This is a beautiful thing, guys. Actually, you know what else we need to do, guys? We need to, so click the live button right there. There it is. Wait, is this, yes, this is. So let me find out. Oh, right here. Click this like button. There it is. I almost lost it there. Click that like button, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Maybe I make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. There it is. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. Let's keep on keeping on, baby, because you know if it ain't right, it is wrong. What kind of saying is that? I guess that's what you get when you're on here just chatting. You just say some stupid stuff. All right, so it looks like NVIDIA is popping up. It is breaking above this channel that it's created on the 1 minute, which is a good sign. If it wants to continue higher, that might mean the push is inevitable. Let's take a look at the QQQs because we know, yes, and there is the QQQs pushing up higher as well. So it looks like either NVIDIA is pushing up the QQQs or the overall tech sector. Let's take a look at Meta. Meta's moving higher. QQQs is moving higher. NVIDIA is moving higher. Let's take a look. What else we got? Let's look at Microsoft. So MSofty, let's see. Oh, yep. Microsoft looks like it's trying to push higher, but it's still finding some resistance at the top. Now let's look at Google because we know Google has been very strong in this overall market. And look at that. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're talking about right here. We talked about the strength in Google, and if there was going to be a turnaround, how Google was the strongest, and to keep an eye on Google. And there we have a big push off. I have not capitalized on this. Of course I didn't capitalize on this. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And as this happened, PBF, I'm just trading sideways on. SPOT, the overall market wants to head higher. This should be heading higher as well, but it doesn't look like we're seeing much action out of SPOT. Let's take a look at the SPY because I imagine SPOT is following SPY. As SPY moves higher, SPOT is just trading sideways, guys. That is not a good sign. Usually, if the market's heading higher on these gap up continuation plays, you want to see SPOT head higher. So we're going to see if it wants to inevitably do that here. If not, it's going to come back down here and stop me out for a small loss. So we're going to see what it wants to do there. Let's take a look at KLG. KLG is back up there at all-time highs. We're going to see if that wants to continue higher. You want to look at that small crab stock DJT? Sure. Let's take a little peeky gander. Now, we talked about this, the volume coming in down here. We talked about the $25 break, and it pushed higher. Now it's having these three sideways action days. There's three sideways days. It looks absolutely beautiful here. Now, if it wants to break on, giddy up to the north side, I think this would be a great area for it to do it. I'll just create an alert so that way if it does happen while we're on this channel, we can keep an eye on it. But DJT, remember, this is a low float, small cap stock. This thing will make or break your account. So if you're watching something like this, be very careful. Personally, this looks more like a short than it does a long, but you never know with this DJT. There's a lot of overhead resistance here, right in this area at 41, and there's a lot of overhead resistance at 69. You heard it here first, 69, baby. So let's go ahead and go through the market. We have the S&P 500 still pushing up, trying to make newer highs, and we haven't seen these in a couple of days, so we want to see it continue. QQQ's doing the same damn thing, baby. The IWM, though, says rip tater chip. Let's head to the north side. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful to see in this overall market. So grab onto your shorts, or not grab onto your shorts, but grab onto your small caps and mid caps because they are seemingly wanting to push higher. We can even look at some of these other small cap stocks like PALI, looks like it's ripping. HWH looks like it's starting to pull back, and AGBA, Abracadabra, looks like it's still ripping to the north side, but those are the small cap stocks. I do not suggest anybody playing those. As KLG, Kellogg, the trade that we took off the 10-day moving average yesterday is still moving higher. Yeah, DJT is definitely a face ripper, baby, so you need to be careful when you're trading those. SPOT, now we are creating this bull flag here, guys. This is a bull flag on the 1 minute. I'm sure if we look on the 5 minute, it'll look very different here. You can just tell it's very indecisive here. It doesn't know which way it wants to go. We have a war going on in this area of 306 where I bought it and the highs of 312. It's getting very tight. So we are going to find out very soon which way SPOT wants to go. If it breaks down below this area, I think it's inevitable that it's going to end up stopping me out. If it breaks higher than this at 313 and wants to continue higher, that is blue skies for the stock, and that could mean that we are going to continue, well, not blue skies, but in this past year, it's definitely blue skies. Hell, it's blue skies since 2022. So let's see if the old Joe Rogan can take the stock higher and if it can, we'll be tagging along with it. But if it wants to break down, we have our risk management in place, and we will take a small loss if necessary. Now let's go look at my good friend NVDA, and here it is. We talked about the break higher. It is continuing higher, but where is the resistance on this stock? Let me zoom out to the 1 hour to take a little peeky gander to see if we have anything in its area. Now, we know that that 850 is a huge area of resistance, and we also know this 829 is a big area of resistance as well. So can it get up to that 829? Maybe today. It might be able to make it all the way up there today, but only time will tell. Now, these aren't buy or sell recommendations. I'm just looking at the stock, creating a bias in my head saying, well, we have all this below us, all this resistance below us now, and we are pushing up higher. Let's hope that it can get up to that 830 or maybe even higher to that 840 and inevitably get up to that 850. If it wants to continue to do that, that would be an absolute beautiful thing for the overall market. So and I also like to keep my eye on this in case it does form something. But this is beautiful, guys. It created this downtrend. It broke up through it. We called it right here on the chat. And now look at this. It moved up from 807 to 813 in such a short amount of time. If you bought 100 shares right there, you could make quite a bit of money in a short amount of time. But remember, as we read in the Discord yesterday, that is like picking up pennies in front of a steamroller. And NVIDIA is 100% that steamroller. So keep that in mind, guys. You want to be very, very careful with that. So, yes, sir, Bob. Let's keep on keeping on. If you guys have any stocks that you want me to take a peeky gander at, if not, that's a-okay. Let's see how Spot's doing, huh? You know I'm in Spot. Okay, Spot looks like it's choosing a direction here. If it breaks down right here from this 306.15, this might be it for Spot, and it might come down hard and quick. But you never know. There might be a big buyer waiting for that break so we can buy it all up, soak it all up. It looks like there's still actually quite a bit of volatility in this here market. Let me go ahead and look at Spot on this SPOT, and the average volume for Spot is 1.91 million, and currently it hasn't traded 1 million yet, but I'd say that's quite a bit. It's up to about 80,000 shares traded. On average, it trades 1.9 million shares, which means we have traded roughly almost half. We're up to, almost half. We'll just call it half so I don't have to do math in my head. Yeah, but once we're very, very close to half, and if we aren't at half, we're gonna be close to half here within the next 15 or 20 minutes on Spot, which is very good to see. We want to see that. OTTR just went off. Now this is a utility stock, if I remember correct. This is just a downtrend in this utility stock. It only moves 2%, and it's very choppy here. You can see on the 1 minute, there's not a lot. Now I also have GS going off, so it looks like a lot of the utilities are starting to rip. Oh no, this is Goldman Sachs actually. This is a financial. And why is this alert going off? Well, because it just is breaking out here out of its all-time highs. And I use breaking out very loosely. What I mean by breaking out is we have this top right here of 419.22, and it just got above that 419.22. So I'm expecting this to actually be an area of resistance. We're going to see if that actually wants to create some resistance there. And one thing, JetBlue, remember, didn't I have we didn't watch it. Oh man, that sucks. All right, so let's take a short here, a small short on this, and see if we can't get in. Yeah, I'd like to get into this short, even a small 25 shares, risking the high. Man, it's not going to get me in, is it? Yeah, we called this right there. Boom. The alert went off. It hit the all-time high, and now it's pulling back hard, and it's probably not going to get me into this damn thing. And I'm going to cry like a little baby right here on stream because I'm not making my money that I want to make. But it's okay. It's no big deal, guys. You cannot catch them all. This is not Pokemon, even though if it was, I would still not try to catch them all because it'd be very mentally taxing if you caught every single trade that you could possibly catch. But it's a-okay. We'll see if Goldman Sachs wants to get me in here. We'll leave it up for a little bit and we'll come back to it. But let's go to JetBlue because I called JetBlue as an area of, no, not JetBlue. What was it? What was the other? Help me out, guys. What was the other one we were looking at this morning? Not JetBlue. United Airlines, yes, UAL. So we called this out as a short sale trade, and sure enough, actually, what? I don't think it was this. I don't think it was this. Oh yeah, it was. Okay, so this is an area of resistance for UAL, and with JetBlue being the way it is, this might be a great area for a short. Let me just mark out this next top here. So this next top and area of resistance is just above it here. So if maybe it clears this area and we find a nice area to short in it, that might be beautiful. But let's go back and look at some of the other stocks like NVDA. NVDA is now came right back down to that area of support. We're going to see if it wants to hold out there. So let's run through the indices. S&P 500, beautiful push, now a pullback, now trading at 502.63. The QQQs is at 422.05. It's looking very good, trying to hold these highs. And the IWM, rip, tater chip, this boy just wants to keep on going to the north side. The area of resistance that we can expect to see is 198 area, that 198, 199, or the psychological area of 200 might be the area of resistance. So let's keep an eye on that. It's not too far from it. I think it could make it there today if it wants to keep on pushing the way it is pushing. Now let's go back and look at the stocks that we are in. Goldman Sachs, I'm trying to get that short end. I want to, more than anything, just buy the market, but we have over a 30-cent spread there, and I just cannot do it. I am a trader. I want the best price. I want the best price. Like B. Stewie got on top of me with that PBF. He got a better price than I did, which makes me sick to my stomach, but it's no, I'm only kidding, but I'm happy for you. I'm glad you got a better price than me. It shows that you're going to have a better risk to reward. You were patient with it. I got in at a good price as well, but it's good to see that you got in a better one. So Goldman Sachs might come up here, might get me in. If it does, I'm going to use that all-time high, just a little bit over it, to use as my risk. And then we will see if it wants to come back down to a nice low area. We have Kellogg, which is just trading sideways. We're up about $105 on this trade. Looks like we have PBF, which is rip, tater chip. We're only up about $15 on this, but this is a longer term play. We're going to try and play this to its all-time high of 62.88, so we'll see how that does. And it looks like my boy B. Stewie is making some money today with me too at 55.89. That boy got me good. 55.89. B. Stewie, I'm just going to mark you out down here. 55.89. That's beautiful. I'm glad to see that you got in on this, and for a much better price. I'm so proud of you, brother. So we're going to make yours pink, B. Stewie. That's where you're at right there. It's beautiful to see. If you hear a little background noise, that's my baby boy. He is part of the chat. You want to come say hi, Reese? Reese? he's having a good old time over here. It's a beautiful thing. Love to see it. You know, you got to keep it family oriented, because if you do not, you'll never get to see your family, because the market will take all your time. It looks like SPOT looks like it is starting to pull back. Like I said, if we don't have a large buyer here, now we're seeing some soaking on that 1 minute, but if we don't get a large buyer here, this is just going to cave. This is going to cave on down. Now, it looks like it did get me in Goldman Sachs. Now, here's a little thing. I'm just going to go counterintuitive to what I was saying. That's why I took a small share size. This is not a lot, very small share size. And I'm going to use the previous, or the high of the day, in order for my stop. And why is that? Well, because financials is looking strong while the overall market was pulling back. So financials is looking strong, oddly enough, with these rate hikes being held at 5.5%, which, speaking of which, we had the global, oh, look at that. Now that is a good sign, guys. Let's go ahead and go over this right now. So the PMI data came out and it was below 50. That is a good sign for the overall market. That is going to show rip, tater chip to the north side. That is such a good sign, guys. We love to see that. So PMI is showing that the data is showing that the market is starting to slow. Not the market, but the global economy is starting to slow. We want to see that. That will show that the Fed is going to take this into consideration. It's going to say, hey, the market is starting to slow down now. The Fed interest rate hikes are starting to slow down now, or the Fed interest rate cuts might be in, and let's see if it changed the Fed rate tool. So let's go to May, okay? We remember in May it was to stay. It came up just maybe a slight bit at 2.5%. June came up just a little bit, I do believe, if I remember correct. And let's go ahead and look at July. So July looks like it also came up slightly a little bit. So it's showing that with this data coming in here, guys, that the overall market is looking pretty good. It's looking like this might be a good sign for the market. Now, I'm not saying it's completely going to change what is going on in the overall market, or that it's going to completely change the outlook on the Fed's rate stays, that we're going to get a cut in May now. No, absolutely not. That just means that we're heading in the right direction. Now, it looks like that Goldman Sachs trade that I got in for 25 shares, let me go ahead and mark out where. It looks like it's doing its thing now. I'm glad I was patient and I didn't just try and jump into this. 418.73 is where we got. So that's a pretty damn good price, I would say. We're going to mark this out in yellow so that way we know where we took that short at. And we're going to see if this thing wants to hold out. If it wants to hold out, I think we can come all the way back to 405. If we come back to 405, guys, that is a beautiful, beautiful trade, right? That's going to be like a 1 to 20 risk reward. Of course, I'll take a little bit out on the way down just to help lock in some of those profits because I like to protect my capital. But if it doesn't want to and it wants to head up and stop me out, that's A-okay. Now, what's surprising is SPOT, we're still in it to win it, guys. Now, granted, since we've gotten in, we aren't up very, very much at all, but that's A-okay. We want to give this time to work. We want to see the volume come in. It just looks like the buyers and the sellers are fighting in this area. It's the angels and the devils fighting in purgatory at this point right now, okay? I just had a good friend of mine text me GERN. So GERN looks like it's starting to do a nice little roundhouse kick to the face. It looks like it wants to create this area of a trend. Oh, this is beautiful, and it's getting really, really tight. I wish Adam was here to say hi. He would like to see this as well. So we'll see if this wants to break out to the north side. Yes, sirree, Bob. Let me just go ahead and message him. Let me say good morning to old Danny boy. Where is my phone? So yeah, guys, if you got anything that you're watching or anything you want me to keep an eye on, all right. Let's see. B Stewie, if you're still with me, how's PBF looking, brother? Let's take a look. PBF still hanging out there. We're up about 13 bucks. You might be up a little bit more than me. KLG, so Kellogg, look at this. It's still heading higher. So I think I got myself probably the best price. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's earnings are actually coming out very soon, right? I think it's after market today. That would be a great stream to do if Tesla comes out with earnings. Yeah, Tesla, nice little pop here. You know, I say short every pop in Tesla, but it might be low enough here where we might actually get a turnaround. That would be great. I'm not seeing anything too crazy. We want to see a lot of volume coming in for Tesla if we want to see this thing make a turnaround. So I think Tesla's got a bright future in the future, but as of right now, old Tesla has just been really beaten down lately. So we're going to see what wants to go on with Tesla. Nvidia, on the other hand, just trading sideways. Yeah, we'll go back to Tesla. We can talk about Tesla for a little bit. So Tesla's earnings are tonight. If we get a big amount of volume, but you have to understand we're under a 200-day moving average and it's also curling down. So anytime we've seen Tesla curling down was right here. You can see we went very, very low. We moved way, way down after it broke this 200-day moving average, okay? Of course, this was a bear market, but you want to see strong stocks hold up in a bear market. 64% it went lower after that 200-day moving average. And sure enough, we are only 38%. So we're only about halfway compared to its last pullback. So we're going to see if it wants to continue to pull back. So we'll see what happens with Tesla. But right now, it is pushing on higher volumes. So that's a good look for Tesla. But I don't like it being under 200-day moving average. So it needs plenty of time to show me that it can have that relative strength. PBF has earnings 5.2. Let's take a look. So PBF does have earnings. Let's see what day. Yes, it is on 5.2. So we need to be very careful with that. If I'm still holding, the majority of my shares will be sold, if not all of them, by 5.2. So we need to keep an eye on that, B Stewie. Remind me if you are with me. So let's look at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, we're up about $16 on this trade, small. We're up about 120 on Kellogg. So Kellogg, rip, tater chip. Who would have thought the Kellogg? I mean, why is Kellogg just now IPO'd? It must have been, I mean, I thought Kellogg, the cereal company, was was around forever for people to buy and sell the shares. Apparently not. They must have been a privately owned company all the way up until just recently, which is October 2nd of 2023. So they haven't even been out for a year yet, guys, and it looks like they're doing well for themselves. The people seem to love them right now. And it's a quick mover, which is very surprising because you would think Kellogg would be inducted in the biggest, in the Dow Jones, the DJI. Which, speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at some of those stocks, guys. I have not went through this Fang Mang, as I will always call it. The S&P 500 still trading sideways, but still above its previous day high. Same thing with QQQ. And the IWM Rip Tater Chip to the north side. It looks like we might get to see that $200 area test very soon, as the NASDAQ also is pushing up off those bottoms. Now, shaking my head, or SMH, the semiconductor ETF, looks like it's also popping up off those bottoms. Can it hold these highs is the real question. Now, this is the RSP. Wow. The RSP kind of looking like IWM pushing up even higher. What is the RSP? Well, simply put, the RSP is the equally weighted average of the S&P 500. So if you took all of your, your energy, your cyclicals, your, just everything, every single ETF that's out there that is in the S&P 500, if it's equally weighted, this will show you where the market actually is. And right now, you can see that it's just, it's doing better. It's doing better than most of the rest, right? So this is what we came here for, the Dow Jones Industrial. The Dow Jones Industrial also is getting a very nice bounce. So the overall market is starting to look a little better in this area now, but we need to know, is this the calm before the storm? Is this the push before the pullback? And we will see that very, very soon. Now, if we use the IBD Investors Live or the William O'Neill strategy, we're going to need 5 to 7 days after this pop. We're going to wait to see if we have a follow-through day on higher volume. If we do that and we get above these moving averages, specifically for me, the 21-day moving average, and it starts to curl to the north side, that is when I will start putting on some trades. Until then, all the trades that I do put on are going to be very, very small. Like you can see, this Goldman Sachs, very small trade, and it is a short. Why is it a short? Well, we are at the all-time highs, which was resistance. So I got in here and I'm holding out. If it wants to break the all-time highs, then so be it. I'll take a very small loss. But with me expecting a pullback in the overall market, yes, financials are a little stronger than the rest. So that's why we go small share size, right? But if financials have found a top and the overall market starts to do better, maybe financials starts to come back down. So these are all thoughts that I've had. This might be a great area to short, or this might be an area for a breakout. But usually when I look at these stocks, what you're waiting for when it comes to a breakout is multiple tests of this high. And I'm not just talking 3. So we had a huge pullback here, a push back up. I'm expecting if this thing were to have a breakout, we would get tighter and tighter and tighter. And eventually we would be in between the 418 and the 419 and bouncing for a day before we broke off to the north side. But we will see. We're up about $4 on this trade, so nothing big. We've got plenty of time to go. It's holding this uptrend on this 1 minute time frame, which this is a little zoomed in, but for the people, we're going to look at that. Old Danny Boy. I think Danny Boy just joined us. GERN. This is going to be a beautiful push to the north side. Now, what is GERN? Let's take a look and see what type of sector this is in. So GERN, let's take a little peeky gander, shall we? GERN is in health technology. Now, we know health and technology has been doing wonders lately. We know the financials are absolutely crap in this stock, and they operate in biotechnology company. It develops Mercer inhibitors, a mental state in hematology. I've never had this much trouble reading before. I'm a pretty avid reader myself, and I think that I can usually throw quite a few words around pretty easily. But when it comes to these medical technologies, wow, this is a totally different language to me. But anyway, the firm develops therapeutic products for oncology. The company was founded by Michael D. West on November 28 in 1990 and is in headquarters, Foster City, California. You know, I find a lot of these startups are in California. There's a lot of big companies out there in California. I don't know what it is about California, but people love to be out there doing big things in California. So let's look at the average volume. The average volume is 16.91 million. It's only traded 643,000 today, so it's under the average volume that we would like to see if we were to trade this. But if it breaks out of this trend line and we do end up seeing a lot of volume, then that would be a nice place to possibly grab a bid to head for the north side. So let's go through the rest of our trades here. So Goldman Sachs, we want to see this thing just break on down, and if it does, it looks like right where I had purchased it was its last area of resistance. We are in Kellogg. Oh my gosh, Danny Boy, Bob, Dan, Bob. I don't know if you've seen Kellogg lately, but this thing is put up or shut up. It doesn't want to come down. We're only up about $141 on this trade. But hey, we put our money where our mouth was. We grabbed a little bit of that consumer cyclical, that consumer staple down here at the bottom. And now Kellogg says, hold my beer, hold my cereal, pour me some milk. We're going to go up, tater chip to the north side, or rip tater chip as I like to call it. PBF, we did take a little bit off that base. My boy B Stewie is in the pink down here. I got to put you in the pink, man. Got to do it. It's an ego thing. you got a better bid than I did, so I'm gonna put you in pink. Down here at 55.89, he's doing awesome. I'm doing pretty good. We're only up a small amount. We're gonna see what wants to happen now. This Spotify, this beautiful Spotify trade is just trading sideways. We're gonna see if this gap up continuation wants to pose a plausible trade. We took the 1 minute range break to the north side, but it doesn't look like, it looks like the volume is starting to teeter off here. It doesn't look like there's not a lot of interest here, and it looks like that short at the all-time highs is going to be the way to go. But we're not going to switch. I was reading that book yesterday, Mastering. I'm going to have to look it up really quick. Let's see, because I always forget the name. So Google Mastering the Mental Game of Trading. Yesterday we were talking about how some people switch. They'll switch in between. So the two risk approaches, the house versus the player approach. And when you're playing the two different types of risk, you don't want to get caught up. You want to write down your trade ideas. Now, I will admit I did not write it down. We decided to go live like at a later time today, but why do we want to write down our trades? Well, because simply put, I could very, very easily take a look at this trade, guys, and I could say, hey, you know what? What I feel like doing here, I feel like shorting now because, you know, this looks like a short. Well, that would be going completely counterintuitive to exactly what the trade originally was, right? The original trade was a gap up continuation play, or an EP, but we're not going to call it an EP because there's so many nuances to an EP. I like spot. I like the volume that came in. I'm calling it a gap up continuation play because that's exactly what it is. And so I took it on the 1 minute breakout. It wants to push higher, but it could not get through its all-time highs. Now heading back down, I look at this thing and I go, you know what? I'm probably going to get stopped out of this. What looks better for this trade is a short sale, because the overall market, I'm expecting to head down. You know, I could sit here and talk about all these different things, but it's not, right? It's not. So regardless, I need to stick to my guns on this. I need to hold off until this trade comes into fruition. So I cannot change my overall thinking, my overall biases on this trade, because if I do, and this thing does end up heading to the north side, that's really going to grind my gears, as Peter Griffin would say, right? So keep that in mind, guys. And it looks like if we look at the SPY, the PMI data that came out, look at this, guys. We're starting to push higher, you know? Now, is the volume higher today? It looks like the 1 hour average volume is higher currently. The overall daily volume isn't any higher than any other day, especially with the 6 red days that we had in a row. That was on higher volume. So it's going to take a lot of volume to try and press those volume averages to get through those volume averages. So we'll see. As the QQQ is trading just like the S&P 500, they almost look identical this morning, guys. So we're going to see how that turns out. The IWM just still continuing to grind higher. It looks like the algos got turned on here. It's just slowly grinding higher. It's starting to barcode on the 1 minute. The NASDAQ also looks like it's trying to keep on keeping on to the north side. SMH looks like SMH looks a little toppy here, actually. Let's take a look at NVIDIA and see what NVIDIA looks like. And then we'll go back through and see what NVIDIA looks like. It's doing a nice little pullback. Double top here, double top at the top, double top at the top. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Guys, if you're just joining me, take a look at my screen really quick. I just want to show you a little peeky gander. I want you to click this like button for me. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can't get up to 15 likes today. It looks like we're up to 6, so we're only halfway there, guys. So let's go ahead and smash that like button for me. Hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I think most of you that are in this chat have been following me for quite some time. I think you're already subscribed. I think you already liked the channel, but thank you for being here. I do appreciate you. Just a little bit of that love goes a long way. So thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and run through. Well, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here, guys? Let's go ahead and look up. Oh, let's look up some of these earnings. So Sizu, yeah, Danny, I don't know if you're with us, but I'm gonna message you. I'm gonna let you know Sizu. Yeah. Because we were looking at that one before. Looks like a big pop here. That's crazy. It's not something I would ever want to get in. Not right now, obviously, but look at that. Rip tater chip to the north side. Yeah, SPOT. We're up a whole 12 cents. Somebody buys the coffee, I will buy the creamer. So we'll see what happens, what's going to happen with that. GS does look like we're getting that pullback. We're up about $32 on this trade now. This is for a longer term trade, guys. I'm not getting out for 32 bucks. I'm not gonna take any money out of this trade. This is for a longer term trade. I would like to get all the way back down here around 398, which would be beautiful. You know, I would love to see it. Let me just text my buddy here. All right, so GS, it looks like it's coming to fruition. We're up about 40 bucks on this trade. Like I said, this is for a longer term trade. The area that I am seeing for for expectancy is going to pull all the way back down here to 389. Okay, so if it can do that, that's great. You know, 389. Let's just do the math here. 418. We'll do the math right here on live. We can expect to earn let's do 418 minus 389, and then we times 29 by 25, and you get 725 bucks. So it's nothing crazy, you know, but it'd be money, right? We want money. I like money. Hope you like money. So yeah, we'll go ahead and stick with that. We'll see where that ends up going. Kellogg still ripping to the north side. It looks like we got a nice, finally getting that pullback up $148. That looks beautiful. PBF, let's see. PBF is looking good here. Nice pullback. Maybe we make a new higher low here and continue. SPOT though, wow, what a boring day in SPOT. I really thought this thing was gonna do something, but it's just doing whatever. VITL, looks like it's finally, wow, look at VITL. It's just doing its thing up here. You know, it's one of those things. It's like I got in yesterday, we were up 40 bucks, came back down, stopped me out for break even, and now it's starting to rip back up. These stocks, when they do this kind of crap to me, you know, it's hard for me to want to get back in, especially when, you know, it's pushing up. It might find resistance here. VITL, this is Vital Farms, which is a consumer staple as well. When we look at this, the first thing I look at is the average daily range, which is at 3.6%. So it's a little bit quicker of a mover. It's still under that 4%. I'd like to see it move a little faster. But as you can see, you know, we get these big rips, a big pullback, another big rip, and it's going right into that area that I bought at yesterday. So is it going to continue higher? Consumer staple is going to be dead. I mean, when we look at Kellogg, you wouldn't think that. Look at it, Kellogg making new highs again, guys. Making new highs again. We're up 100 bucks just on the day, 164 total on this trade. How high can Kellogg go in one day? Goodness, people are loving Kellogg right now. I mean, it must be cereal season. I mean, goodness. SPOT, boring as hell. Let's go back to NVIDIA, my baby. Let's see how NVIDIA is doing. There we go, pushing up to the north side. We called this little breakout here at this area, kind of traded sideways, and now NVIDIA wants to continue to push higher. Where's my expectancy? Well, we got our first area of resistance at 829, or 830 we should call it, and our next area is going to be that 850. That 850 is a very psychological area. B. Stewie says, "Do what? What up, Do? Tell me what you're watching. You can't just say Do. It looks like Do. What up, Do? Yeah, man. So guys, let me know what you're watching. Tell me what you want me to see, what you want me to commentate on. I'm more than happy to go over whatever it may be. Let's do it, baby. I got a little bit of time left in me. It's only 10:15. It looks like the market is rip tater chip to the north side. We like to see it. S&P 500 lingering around 503.45. Looks like the QQQs is just trading sideways as well at 523. You would think the QQQs would be making new highs with NVIDIA pushing higher. We'll see if it wants to do that. MSoft, let's see how MSoft is doing. MSoft is finally making those new highs, but now it looks like it wants to pull back. It looks like a big drip right here. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla also is ramping up there, creating this triple top. We're going to see if it wants to continue to push higher or if people are going, well, maybe, I wonder if a lot of people are getting into this to see if it wants to, people are probably going to take a gamble on these earnings. I think that's what, oh, ticker DOOO? Serious? Do. All right, let's take a look. DOOO, yeah, okay. So it moves 4.7%. It looks like DOOO. It does have this trend breakout right here. Here we go. It looks like it's trying to break out of this area. Let's look at the hourly though. It moves 4.7%, so it is a quicker mover. It's not broken out just yet. It does look like it on the daily, but if you look at on the hourly, it's just now getting above it. Just now getting above it. We got to keep in mind, guys, it's under a 200-day moving average that's curling down. So we're starting to see some volume come in for it. It's an interesting ticker, that's for sure. But what the heck is DOO? What is it? Let's just look it up really quick. So DOOO, it is a producer and manufacturer of truck, construction, farmery, and machinery. Okay, just by first glance of the overall financials, it looks pretty cool. BRP Incorporated is a holding company which engages in the design, development, manufacture, distributor, and marketing of power sports vehicles and marine products. The firm operates through the power sport and marine segment. The power sports segment includes year-round products, seasonal products, and power sport PA&A and OEM engines. The marine segment includes outboards and jet boat engines, boats and related PA&A and other services. Its brand include Ski-Doo, Lynx, Sea-Doo, Evinrude, Rotax, Can-Am, and Almacraft. All right, cool. Well, that's definitely one that you would bring up. And DO is a pretty interesting ticker symbol because, you know, Ski-Doo, you know, obviously. So that's kind of cool that they have that like that. So PRB Incorporated has all your Can-Ams. It's got four-wheelers, it's got boats, it's got Ski-Doos, it's got a little bit of everything. So this might be an interesting ticker. I might just go ahead and keep my eye on DOOO because it's a faster mover. And if it gets above this area, it might want to kind of keep on keeping on. We have a base down here. That 60, it just doesn't want to break down lower on. So that might be, we'll have to bring this back up. We'll have to take a little peeky gander at DOO in the near future. Let's go ahead and look at what I have on my watch list because I haven't looked at all of mine on my watch list. So Coupang has been holding up relatively strong to the overall market. We're going to see if Coupang wants to rip tater chip to the north side. It looks like it did clear those all-time highs and then started pulling back there. So we'll see. With increased volume down here as well, so that's a good sign for Coupang. Now I don't really care for the story on this. Not that the story ever matters. It's all about price action. But Coupang needs a little bit more time to follow these 10-day moving average. Maybe let the 10 and 21 catch up and then carry it up higher. So Coupang, we'll just go ahead and mark this out. So if it does break up to the north side, we can keep a closer eye on it. Let's see how GS is doing. So GS is popping back up here, guys. We were up about 40 bucks on it, and now it's right back up to where I had purchased it. We're going to see what happens with this thing. Kellogg, rip tater chip, still heading up to the north side. PBF pulling back, giving back a little bit. SPOT, let's look at SPOT. Are we actually going to do something here? SPOT looks like it based out down here, and it looks like I was saying, we need to find a buyer down here. And at 304, you can see on the 1 minute anyway, you can see quite a few big wicks. When they came down here, it got bought up real quick. So there's somebody down here, it looks like, defending at 304. So that's a good sign if you are in this stock with me. We bought in on the 1 minute gap up continuation play at 306.80-ish. 306, let's see, 306.59 actually is where I got in at. We can actually move this down just a little bit. 306.59, we'll just leave it there. That'd make it easier. They kind of just lingered around this area. Now pushing up higher, it looks like we got sellers up here at that 312. So we're just in purgatory here, guys. What's going to happen with SPOT? That is the name of the game. We'll see in the very near future what wants to happen to that. It looks like Goldman Sachs is just lingering around up here. Goldman Sachs is a slow mover. It only moves 1.8% in a day. So let's just measure this here and let's see what it has given us so far today. So far today, it's only moved 0.74%. So it still has a wide range that it can still move. It's only moved it's still got 1% that it can move, meaning it can still move down below here 1%. We can still come down quite a bit, right? And we can still push up quite a bit from where we're at in relation. So we still got plenty of time on GS, plus it's still early. It's only 10:22. So we're going to see if it wants to keep on keeping on. As Kellogg finally is getting a nice pullback. About time. This thing was just ripping to the north side. You never want to see anything go straight up if you're in it. I mean, of course, it feels good, but then you have to wait for the inevitable pullback, and that's what we're finally getting with Kellogg moving straight up. Now we're getting a pullback. Let's see if we can make new higher lows and continue higher in the very near future. What I should do next time we do this, so I'm looking at the screen and I'm not looking away from you guys the whole time. Wow, a side profile, I'm just watching myself. It's hilarious. I'm just looking this way. What I really need to do is like have the screen up here. Maybe we switch that really quick. I'll try and do that while we're on here. All right, we'll do it some other time. We don't want to crash anything, right? You gotta be real attentive, be real careful in this market. But yeah, so well, let's see here. What else we got going on? Yeah, SPOT is just, I just hate it. I hate SPOT. It's just not doing what I anticipated. So boring. GS, look at that. Back up here at these tops, just real hard fail down here now. You can tell somebody is unloading because it's just gapping around now. What's the, it looks like it's only, let's see. Well, we're starting to get some attention on here now. It's only like a 30-cent spread. So, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't want to go up any higher. So I'm glad I got the short, but it doesn't want to go down. It looks like it just got hit hard on the 1 minute, but who cares about the 1 minute, right? Let's take a look at the rest of these, but things are starting to slow down here, guys. The S&P 500 looks like it might be topping here at that 504. We'll see if it wants to continue higher, but it's got this nice uptrend. You can see here, nice uptrend. It's just trying to hold off this area. Let's take a look at the QQQs and see if it's still holding its uptrend, and it is. It also has a nice uptrend here. Will it break? Are we going to get enough here? Enough of a push. Now, here's that 200. We talked about it, guys. It's at 198.36, and it looks like it's starting to slow down here and starting to pull back. The IWM is. So maybe not a full 200. We came awfully close to it. Maybe we push up one last push out of the IWM and hit that 200 before starting to come back down. But it looks like we're starting to see some things slow down a little bit. It looks like, well, let's see if NVIDIA also is going to slow down a little bit. We're going to see what the overall market wants to do here. But this was a nice push up higher, a nice gap up. So GERN now looks like it is starting to go. So let's take a little peek. So GERN did and is starting to look like it wants to break above this channel. So let's take a look here. Let me just fix my lines here a little bit. So yeah, we are getting above that area. We are above previous day's high. Let's go ahead and look on the overall. Let's look at this. Let's see what the average volume is. So the average volume is 16.92 million. It hasn't even traded a million shares yet. So it's pretty boring. I mean, this might be a nice move at 6.3%, but we're not seeing a lot of volume come in for this. So I don't know. It's hard for me to want to trade something like this. It's hard for me to want to trade something like this if we don't have a lot of volume coming in for this. So we're not seeing a big push in volume for Gurn. So it's not something I can get into. Maybe a couple more tight days might be good for it before it starts to break out to the north side, or this might be it. Maybe this is the area that we watch, we keep a close eye on, and if it wants to rip, tater, chip, then we can get a part of it, but I need to see volume. I want to be a part of the volume. Right now with the range, the range is only the spread is only 1 penny, so that's good. That's actually showing that it has enough volume that it doesn't have a large spread here. So this is good. But we want to see the volume come in. So I like to see it breaking out. I like to see it doing that. You know, you can see it on the daily here. It's got this beautiful uptrend. It pulls back. It's following a 10-day moving average. You get this tight, you get this range, this expansion, and then you get this contraction here, and it gets really, really tight, and it wants to explode. It wants to go to the north side, but is it at the right time? Is it the right time for this thing to rip, tater, chip to the north side? That's the real question here. So if it wants to, what I want to see is volume coming in, right? So maybe we take a small bit on this as the volume starts to slowly come in here, but I'm just not seeing what I want to see just yet. So maybe I distract myself for a minute as GERN. This could be, with the RS rating of 91, that's still pretty good too. But the overall financials are absolute dog crap. Market cap is 2.24 billion. That's what I like to play as well, the bigger market caps. I don't like those smaller market caps. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to chase this thing either. So we need to see the volume come in now, or forever hold your peace, because I'm not going to try and grab up here in the $4 area if it starts to gap up quick. So GERN is looking nice. I'm really curious what Danny's thinking about GEN. So Bob the Builder. Let's see. What else we got going on? Maybe we can run through the tickers that I'm in. GS, right back up there to where I bought it. So this thing does not want to make up its mind. Neither does Spotify, guys. Spotify doesn't want to make up its mind. It is back up towards those highs, but the real question is this thing doesn't want to just sell off here? This is the blue skies. If it breaks out of this area, that's going to be really good for this ticker. But if it can't break out of this area, then there's only one other way to go, right? Well, I guess two. So sideways or down. But we're already in it. We want to see this thing go higher. We want to see it break out, but it needs to break out on volume. So if the volume is not there, it's not going to get through those highs. You're going to see more sellers than you are buyers. And then if there's more supply than there is demand, well, you know what happens to price. That's simple economics. It's going to head lower. But I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to stay my ground, and we're going to see what actually happens with this. Now, ACB, or the cannabis sector, ACB, looks like it's getting a nice little pop this morning. We're going to see if this wants to break out as well. We got some volume coming in here as well for it. Let's just go ahead and draw this out and look at this on the hourly to see what is going on. Yeah, so it looks like this would be an area to short. So far, so we're just going to keep this on our watch list, but it did set off an alert. So Aurora Cannabis, it's above a 200-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average is starting to curl up to the north side, so that's good. Let's take a look at PLTR, as B. Stewie called it out. PLTR, rip, tater, chip. So PLTR looks like it's starting to head to the north side. It has an area of downtrend here. So this downtrend can be discerned like that. So that's nice to see it pop up there. It looks like GS just got me out, so GS looks like it's trying to break up to the north side now. Maybe my stop was a little too tight, but I don't care. I'm not playing around with this. We'll just take a $15 loss, guys, a very small loss to try and gain a very big win. So $15 loss for a $750 gain is well worth the risk to me. So we're going to see if GS wants to continue to the north side. Now, if GS is pushing higher, look at this. The S&P 500 is pushing higher. The QQQs, let's take a look. They're pushing higher. It looks like the overall market took that PMI data and really likes that PMI data. So let's go ahead and zoom in here on the 1 minute. Yes, rip, tater, chip, to the north side we go for the S&P 500, for the QQQs, for the IWM, guaranteed right at that $200 area that we talked about earlier for the IWM. It looks like everything is doing very, very well. Let's look at spot though. I mean, spot If you're not going to do it, then I need to get out of you. That's the issue here. If everything else is rip, rip, tater, chip, and the SPOT, the only episodic pivot or gap up continuation, is not going to continue ripping, if it's not going to follow the rest of the market, then this is clearly a short. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time, but I do not like where this is headed. Now with the overall market heading up, I'm going to guess that energy should come back down, but we'll see, because if energy wants to continue to stay strong while the overall market starts to head higher, then we're going to say that this is a false push, that this is a false move to the north side. So ANF, I guarantee, is still ripping higher. Yes, it is a beautiful move to the north side. Let's look at some of the other ones. Coupang's probably going. Yes, it is. Wave is not doing anything. AXON is pushing. DUOL, so Delingual, is pushing higher. AVGO, these aren't the ones I want to watch. Let's go back to my other watch list here. So UAL, let's see, CTOS, come on, load up charts. CTOS, this is a slower mover. I don't know why I'm watching this. I'm just gonna get rid of this. So I stopped watching that. PPC, all right, let's look at MCBC. This is another financial. AGQ, so it's popping back up there. This is looking more like a short than anything after that gap down. Silver, SLV, popping up. PAAS, popping back up. Wave, blah, blah, blah. Vegas, GEV. This is looking nice, man. Oh yeah, everything is flying to the north side. So I'm glad we got a few longs in this, but you know, I really am a little uneasy about how high or how fast this can go. Let's look at, CTOS, of course. I just took this off my ticker and then it's going back off. So CTOS is just has this, it's a slow mover. That's my issue with it. It's a really slow mover, but it's got this beautiful trend and it was holding up against the overall market. So it's relatively strong compared to the overall market. And with the overall market heading higher, it looks like it's trying to head higher as well. Let's look at SPOT. Come on, SPOT. I think once it gets above this though, guys, once SPOT gets above this area, I think it's going to just go bananas. I think it's going to just rip. I think it's really going to go higher. Now it only moves 3.8%. So when I say rip, I mean it's going to move higher in a nice, easy manner. It's not going to rip, tater, chip like we see in some of these, but I do like it. I do like the way it moves. Not this morning, not this morning. I like the way that 3.8% ADR, you know, I don't like the way it's moving this morning. This thing is just kind of just chopping around. I expected this thing to be up and at 'em, just going with the market, but it's not. So I don't really care for it. So if it's not going to go here, then I don't want to be a part of it. You know, I'll probably end up moving my position up to break even if it doesn't go here. I'm not going to take a loss on this ticker because I can clearly see that there's weakness with the overall market ripping to the north side, with the overall volume being higher than average this morning, and now it doesn't want to take off to the north side. You can clearly see there's something wrong with this ticker if it does not want to continue to the north side, meaning it's probably going to look better for a short. Now Nvidia is up at 826.69. I told you that first area of resistance is going to be at 830. It looks like we're starting to bear in onto it right now. We're going to see what it wants to do. It does have higher than average volume on this, which is great to see for it ripping to the north side. Now we drew this trend out down here. It held that trend out. We drew a trend here in the morning and it broke that trend. If you were to play this and use the previous risk, you would be in the money by quite a few. Am I in it? No, I did not capitalize on that trade. I don't take nearly as many trades when I'm doing live shows than if I were on my own. But it looks like PBF is starting to pull back here. We're going to give this a couple of days. SPOT, I mean, come on, let's go. You know, what do I got to do? What do I got? Rise up, SPOT. Let us see you. Let us see you at the highs. Make new highs for me, please. Yeah, but this is its highest it's been in 2 years, guys. So if it wants to continue higher, let's see it move higher. I don't know anything about the financials, but what I do know is the earnings expectant beat caught Wall Street off guard, and it looks like there are quite a few people that bought into this. So that's nice to see. KLG still holding up at those highs. Let's go ahead and take a little peek again, or PBF. Yes. All right, so We have the S&P 500 up over 1% so far today, and it usually moves about the same movement, so 1%. So this is probably its range right here. It's probably not going to go much higher than this. To say, 1.1% is its average daily range, so I think it's moved its range. So if it starts to pull back here, that's fine. Same for the QQQs is 1.4. It's moved its average daily range expectancy right then and there. So I would imagine NVIDIA has probably seen its average daily range expectancy. And so let's just take a look off this bottom here. Yeah, so it hasn't moved its full average daily range expectancy just yet. But this got a beautiful 3% push off of its lows from 802 today all the way up to 823. So that was a nice move for NVDA. We're going to see what it wants to do here. If it wants to hold and continue higher, it's pretty it's pretty well extended from that VWAP area at 813. So the VWAP area is right back down here. At this area of support right where it broke out. So it's a VWAP trading strategy as well that you could use. We're going to see what it wants to do. It looks like it's getting pretty heavy at the top, and it wants to come back down after a big push like that. After some expansion, you're going to see some contraction, and that's a-okay if that happens. SPOT, look at this, just lingering around like some bad breath. Like, let's go, dude. Like, quit messing around. Let's get that bout of volume. Let's get this thing pushing to the north side. I'm sick of you seeing you down here. You know what? How about this? I'm going to walk over there. I'm going to grab an energy drink. And when I come back, this thing better be rip tater chip. You guys give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. We'll see. Yeah, I'm still mic'd up. I can still communicate with you while I'm going to get a drink. Yeah, we got it like that here. We'll see. So when I come back, the thing better be to the moon. To the moon, baby. Look at that. That's all I got to do, right? If I just walk away, it'll get back up to all-time highs. All right, maybe I should walk away more often, guys. We'll see if it wants to continue now. That's funny how that works out. And look at that. We're starting to get a little... Oh, there we go. Oh, now we're getting some activity. About time we get some activity here. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen with this, guys. We'll probably come back and take a look at this, but it reached that all-time... Oh, it didn't make all-time highs just yet. The all-time highs is 314.80. It's sitting at 314.25. It looked like it really tried to push up there, 314.73. So it's just right there. It's right there at those all-time highs, and we'll see if it wants to actually break out of that and head higher. I really think right when it breaks out of this, that it's just going to start ripping. Now, those are my thoughts. Those aren't yours. We're going to see if it actually wants to happen. Here we go. So, there we go. Now, it just hit the highs. We're going to see if it wants to continue. So 314.80 was the highs, and then boom, it hit. It pushed up to 315.23, so it moved up pretty quick, and now it's just, nope, it didn't do what I thought. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's pretty boring. It's pretty boring, to be honest. Not what I expected out of spot. So we'll have to come back. We'll come back. We'll take a look at this. We'll see what's happening. Let's take a look at our good friend Kellogg over here. Let's see how that cereal is tasting. Let's add a little milk. Let's get this thing rip tater chip again. This thing was beautiful move today. We added another $96 to this trade, buying off of previous days 10-day moving average, using those lows, previous days lows. Now, this is a buy and hold just because this is on a beautiful uptrend. Also, it's holding this 10-day moving average, and until it either stops me out for break even now or breaks below a 10-day moving average, whichever one comes first, I'm going to hold on to Kellogg. I think we got a beautiful buy on this, and I'd like for it to continue higher, so that's beautiful. PBF looks like it's found a new low of 56.28 on the 1 minute anyway. We're going to see if this wants to continue higher. SPOT, boring. VOO, I've been adding into this account. I was hoping, maybe I should have added more at these lows, but you can see on the way down, I started adding in these green markers. You can see here, we don't talk too much about investing. We should probably talk more about that on this account. I've got about $14,000 extra here that I want to add in that I don't want to use for the overall trading. I've added 4 shares of this. We got a share at 471, a share at 469, and then 2 shares right around 462. I was hoping we would even go lower than this. Now, I've been talking and expecting for a bounce. Here's our bounce. We're going to see where this bounce wants to go. If it wants to continue to head lower, that's where I'm going to add in some more of those trades. We could come down, I'm guessing, as low as the 200-day moving average. Of course, I don't want to see that. I'd like to see the market, your 401ks, your Roth IRAs, everything go higher. And if that does, that's going to be a beautiful thing. But I'm just averaging into the market. We only got about $1,864 since I started to get that $16,000, or I'm sorry, that $14,000 in there. So I got about 16 more shares, or actually 16 shares total. So I think 16 shares total is what I want to end up getting into the VOO. Of course, the price is going to make that share fluctuate, but regardless, I want a total of about 14,000 on this pullback. So as this pulls back, I'd like to get at least 14,000 in. If we start to see another uptrend where we get that follow-through day that we talked about, that William O'Neill's type of investing, then I will definitely be adding even more into the account after that follow-through day. So that would be beautiful to see. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back on the daily and zoom back out here. And look at that. So it made all-time new highs at 515.78. We're pulling back again. This thing is just slow and boring. I don't know if I want to be a part of this, honestly. I think what I'm going to do is move my stop up to break even because, man, I just can't, I can't be in a slow stock. It hurts to watch. PBF, though, does look like it's popping back up there. So as the market starts to pull back, your consumer staples starts to go, your energy starts to go, and then let's look at SPY. So we had a pullback. It looks like it's still trying to hold this trend here. We can go ahead and pull this trend up off the base, right? So it's still holding that trend. It's still wanting to push up higher. Let's look at the QQQs. All right, QQQ, same thing, still holding a beautiful trend. Now look at the IWM. IWM right there. We talked about this $200 area, right? And it's sitting right at 198. I keep calling it the psychological area of 200 because that is where its most resistance, in my opinion, is this 198. Because if we zoom out on the daily, you can see it's touched it 1, 2, 3, 4 different times. So I think this is a key area for IWM to try and get up and above. If it doesn't, I can expect this IWM to fail here. I really can. I can see this thing having at least a nice pullback here, before making a new higher low. It looks like we just had a new subscriber. Thank you for that. I didn't even know I had the that I had that thing still on there, so that's cool. So I appreciate you subscribing. Say hi in the chat. I'd like to know who you are. Appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. So the IWM here, right at that psychological area of 200. So we might have a little bit more ways to go. But with all this resistance here, 1, 2, 3, 4 different spots right here for that resistance area, we want to see this thing hold out. We want to see this thing hold out and push up higher. Let's take a look at Riot. Good old, my boy, Danny just messaged me and he said, he's taking a look at some of these miners. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, actually. We haven't looked at Bitcoin in just a minute. So Bitcoin bounce off this 50-day moving average, looking really, really good off this bounce, but now right into these declining moving averages. I'm expecting to see this thing to pull back, and it looks like we are starting to pull back. Now, if you guys remember, I did take a small short on CLSK just the other day, and this damn thing pushed right up through that area that I tried to short in. We were using the anchored VWAP, and if you're not familiar with anchored VWAP, I do have quite a few anchored VWAP videos and strategies that I've taken. Now, CLSK looks like it's dropping pretty hard. Now, I can almost guarantee we're going to start to see the market drop and everything start to pull back because this is a huge push. Like I said, the S&P 500 only usually moves an average daily range percentage of 1.1%, and we've already hit that 1.1%. So is it going to try and hold here and trade sideways, or are we going to get a nice pullback? Maybe this is the only bounce that we get before we actually get the real pullback, right, guys? So we need to be really careful when we're looking at these things out here. We love to be long. We love to make money. We love to see your 401ks, your Roth IRAs, and all of that stuff making more money. We always want to see that, right? But the issue with that, guys, is the simple fact that you can't just go straight up. We have to have pullbacks. We have to have times and periods where the things are going to pull back. So this might be that area where we pulled back 6 days in a row. We pulled back. Now we're getting a nice pop. Now we're starting to get another pullback. That might be it right here. So that being said, I want to make sure that we have all of our eggs in the right baskets. I don't want to say in one basket, but we want to make sure We want to make sure that what we're doing here is smart. And if we are going to get a pullback here, we want to make sure that we are part of that pullback. But we want to make sure that we're doing it smart. We don't want to just grab anything anywhere. We want to make sure that if we're getting a pullback, that it is sustainable for one, and two, it's in the right area. So if I just start drawing trends off the top of this, if this thing wants to pop back up and show me that we're going to go back into this trend before we go lower, and I look at QQQ and I can see that the QQQ is pulling back. If I look at SPY and the SPY breaks this area of support, this uptrend that we've held since this morning, and we start to pull back, that might be an area. Same thing with the QQQs. Let's take a look here, guys. Watch. So if we pull this off the QQQs on the 1 minute and we break this area, we might want to take a short somewhere else, right? We might want to actually get in a short somewhere, because that is going to be the area of resistance for that overall market. And same thing with this, you know, if this here, maybe we can even draw this out. It doesn't look nearly as clean. But if we draw this out, yeah, it looks pretty good. So if this breaks down of this area, that's going to be an area that we want to be a part of, right? Short. But what I much rather see is if I can get the top here before we break down this area, right? That way I can risk the high and then play this low, you know, risk the high, take some out at this low, hold on, and bring my stop up to break even. So maybe we'll actually get a nice trade on that today. That would be absolutely beautiful. We're going to go ahead and just keep an eye on this and watch this. So if you guys are just joining us, thank you so much. I do appreciate you being here. My name is David Worrell. I love to do live trading commentary. I love this show. I bring you bite-sized data. Today we went over the PMI. We went over the rate cuts, or the rate stays in this case, stay in May. We went over the Fed rate tool. We went over the economic data and what is coming up. Actually, we didn't go over that nearly as well as we should have, though. So maybe we go over that right now. Let's see here. While we're waiting, oh, it looks like we might break down now. I'd much rather get that bid up here at the top, though. So I might just be patient and wait for that. Let's take a look at the QQQs. Oh, the QQQs are breaking down this area. So, ooh, this is going to be a tough one. This might be a tough trade. It doesn't have to be a tough trade because I don't have to take it. But when you look at the QQQs and then you look at NVIDIA and you see QQQ break down that area, you know, that means that NVIDIA has the ability to break down that same area. So if it does in this area, that might be a really nice short to take. So we're going to see if it wants to do that. If it doesn't want to do that, I'm A-okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. I want to see it pop back up here and take a short somewhere in this area rather than down there, just because I think it would be a lot safer to do that. So we'll see. It's still wanting to hold here. Let me throw this up and bring up the QQQs on this area here and throw this on the 1 minute just so we can keep an eye on it. Yeah, so it's trying to hold. It's really trying to hold this area. It's doing its absolute best to try and hold this area. NVIDIA might be the culprit of that. The NVIDIA might actually be the one that wants to hold this market up, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for very long. And this might be the death of it right here. I don't know. Let's get close. Guys, we are up to 699 subscribers. We are one away. Who's going to be 700? That's the real question I want to know. Who's going to be the old 700, the 700? I'm pretty excited about that, guys. We have grown so fast with this community. I think it's just because you see the love, you see the passion that I put into this, and a lot of you have stuck around, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here, letting this big head jap his jaws, talk all the crap he wants to, because I love doing this commentary. I love having a show. I love the economic data, the bite-sized data that we bring you every single day. We try to bring you a piece of data, whether it's live, whether it's in YouTube Shorts, whether it's bringing you free commentary when it comes to how to take risk management, trades, anything like that. It's what we try to do here. So I do appreciate you. If you have somebody who wants to be 700, if it's their favorite number, shoot them a message. Let them know they can be 700 today if they want to. It looks like we're going to break down here, guys. It really does. It looks like we're going to break down here. The QQQs are starting to break down. It looks like NVIDIA is wanting to break down in this area. We're going to see if it wants to here. This might not be the right time, but we will see. If it's not, I don't mind getting out and waiting for that top. So we'll see. If this isn't it, then I'll be out very quickly. But we're going to see here. This might be it. Took 100 shares here. We're going to see. There it goes. All right. We're up $81 in seconds, guys. In seconds, we're going to see. Now, I'm waiting for a bigger pullback here because VWAP on the QQQs is all the way down at 422. So if we can wait for that bigger expected move, that would be beautiful for the overall move of this. So right now, you're seeing a day trade here. And, it might stop me up. You never know, guys. This thing could very easily pop back up. And if it does, no big deal. There we go. Yep. That's exactly how it happens. Sometimes when you get these bigger expected moves, you can see them happen very, very quickly. And we're going to see, does this thing want to hold out? Does this thing want to hold out? Does it want to continue higher? We're going to see very quick. I'm only going to take one more trade on this. So we're going to see, maybe we lower our share size now so we don't take such a big loss. And we'll go ahead and wait for it to hit that cap. Come on, hit that cap, baby. We want to take one more. We'll take one more. And there you have it. All right, now we're in. This is going to be our last one. If it breaks up through this top, there it goes. All right, now we got to get out, unfortunately. We'll set our stop loss to the high of there. And we're going to call that a day on trying to short that. Obviously, the market is a lot stronger than I anticipated there, guys. I was expecting to get a nice pullback there. Let's go ahead and bring up the QQQs. This is not a short, maybe it's a long, but I'm not going to go ahead and try and fight this or continue to look. We're going to go ahead and let that baby ride, baby. Or let that baby ride. Maybe this is the blow off volume top, but I will say this. If you don't get it right first, you're not going to be right over and over and over again, guys. So you got to keep an eye on these things, and you really need to manage your risk. So that's exactly what I did today. We can look at some of the other symbols that we did. We're up about $185 on Kellogg. So KLG, that's absolutely beautiful. Look at this push that we had. Where do we take it? Down here at these lows. Let me head and bring this up for you. So Kellogg, you can see on this 10-day moving average, we bought this right here on this base, and it just rip, tater chip to the north side. It was an absolute beautiful move, and this thing just does not want to stop. Now, SPOT, we took this on a 1-minute gap up, a GAP trade, gap up continuation trade. That was absolutely beautiful. We're only up about $27 on this trade. That's no big deal, but we want to see this thing continue higher. I was expecting to get more volume for this thing to push up higher, for it to actually do what we wanted it to do, and it's not. It's just kind of trading out here. And if we're going to get a pullback in the overall market, which I expected there because we started to break those trends, well, if it does, I think Spotify is going to come down as well. But we'll see very, very soon here what is actually to come. Hopefully, I just didn't get psyched out there on NVDA and take a minimal loss of 160 when we could have just held on a little longer while this thing pulls back. So we're going to see what happens with NVIDIA. I always like to learn from it. Why? Because you're a loser unless you're learning, right? We always want to be learning from our mistakes. So right here, I try to play this breakdown. It was a beautiful breakdown. I would take this 100 times in a row, but obviously today was not my day for this breakdown. Now, it might actually end up doing what I expected it to do, and if it does, that's A-okay. I'm going to reset. We got to reset the trade as they talk in the Mastering the Mental Game that we read. I'll bring it up here for you guys. We read this. We read 2 or 3 times a week in the Discord, so if you're not aware of that, we do have a free Discord. Everything that you hear and see on this channel is free. I believe in free. If I can find it for free, you're going to get it for free, okay? If it's something that I got to take a lot of time on to bring it for you, to get you a better price, I will do that too, because I am for the people. David Worrell for president, right? But yeah, NVIDIA looks like it's wanting to push up here. This is actually, it's actually trying to hold this trend as best as it possibly can here. This might be the calm before the storm, but we know that resistance is lingering overhead at 830 and 850 are the 2 areas of resistance. So we'll see very, very soon. But Kellogg does not want to slow down. Right up here at 23.25, beautiful move. PBF just kind of trading sideways. We took a trade at that 56.1. Now it's a slower mover at 3.1%, but you want to see this thing go lower regardless. Now I know I took a long, but for the overall market, for your Roth IRAs, for your for your 401ks, you don't want to see energy going higher. Usually energy going higher, at least for as long as I've been trading, correlation in the market. When energy goes higher, usually the market is going lower, or at least and that's how it's been with me so far. So that SPOT right here, guys, it's, you know, I'm going to have to hold on to the trade, but the issue is with this, you know, we're only up about $22 on this trade, but the thing is it's not doing what I expected, right? What did I... excuse me, what did I expect? I expected this thing to push, or if it just traded sideways after it broke through its top, that it would rip, that it would go up higher, especially with the accumulative volume that we've seen today. We've already traded well more than its average daily volume. We traded half. When I looked at it, it was about 945. So I think it's traded probably double its average daily volume by now. Let's go ahead and take a look before I just spit out random facts, right? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Oh, B Stewie, short, waiting for the pullback for, yeah, SMCI, yeah, I hear you. That thing is, that's a pretty interesting one. So SPOT, if we take a look at this, let's look at the average volume. So the average volume is 2 million. This thing has already traded twice the amount of its average volume, 2.5 times more than its average volume. It's traded 4.5 million out of the 1.99 million that its average volume. So we have a lot of volume, a lot of interest in SPOT, but it's just not going anywhere. So either there are a lot of sellers up here at these all-time highs that people are just selling into. That's not a good look for SPOT if that's what's happening. But I'm going to stay my course. I'm going to hold on to these shares, and we're going to see what wants to come of this. So let me crack this. I need some. It sounds like a beer, but it is not, I can assure you. This is my morning go-go juice. Since they were all out of the monsters that I like to drink, which we will be getting a coffee pot back very, very soon. One of the live streams where we're doing Papa Powell, the young man, good old my baby boy, decided to yeet the glass jar onto the floor, knocking it over, creating a beautiful mess. But yeah, we haven't got a coffee pot since, so I think we'll be doing that within the next couple days. But this week is going to be crazy, crazy, crazy week today, guys. So we're going to see what actually comes of it. Yeah, look at this VOO. We're up about 120 bucks on this VTI though. That's me and my brother. We've been invested in the market quite a bit. Him and I. I think I got like 10 more shares than he does, but that doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get him to invest. I'm glad that he is, because he went from a small savings account to a large trading account. Not even a trading account, an investing account, let's just say. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at Goldman Sachs, which was GS. So Goldman Sachs, and this right here is why we have stop losses, guys. We took a very, very small stop loss on GS. Why? Because it broke that previous high. So $15 loss for a $780 possible win. So it's good that we have that that risk management in place. Now NVIDIA, look at NVIDIA, just kind of lingering around like some bad breath over here. You know, I really wanted to see this thing just trade down, flush down hard and fast, and it looks like it didn't want to do that there. Maybe this is the area that it wants to do that, but I cannot take this trade anymore. I already tried twice. I tried with 100 shares, then I tried with 50 shares, both stopping me out for a small loss of $161. That's a-okay for the potential gains that was there, that was a possible win there. So we'll see what comes of it. Maybe I can learn from this, because remember, you are a loser unless you're learning. Remember that, guys. You are a loser unless you're learning, and I really do mean that. Like, I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but I mean I can be, right? I can be an asshole, and hands down, you are a loser unless you're learning. Like, if you just whine or complain or blame others for things, you got to man up, right? Or you got to woman up. You got to human up, I guess I should say. If you want to better yourself, if you want to get better, and you don't want to be a loser, you got to learn. You got to learn. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to learn from the things that we do here. And if you're losing, right, and you just whine and complain and you get mad about it, then you're a loser. If you're learning from it, though, if you're trying to figure out why, like, of course, we all have those inner emotions, and you can release all those. You can get mad, you can get frustrated, but you need to come back. You need to learn something from it. And if you do end up learning something from it, then hey, That's all that it takes, right? So, man, I'm looking at this thing again, and it makes me just want to grab this. Loving to learn, baby. Yeah, thanks for smashing them hearts, baby. Yeah, we do love to learn on this. And, you know, Dan, Bob, Dan, you are practically one of the best that I've seen in here. And there it goes, guys. It looks like NVIDIA is starting to pull back. Let's look at the QQQs. Yeah, Dan Bob started with me quite a few. Oh, look at that. Double top and then a pullback. It looks like that was the real play there. Now, is it going to break down here and show? Maybe I just take, we'll take a quarter of the share size on this, guys. Quarter of the share size. We'll try and get the ask. But yeah, this looks like this was the real trade here, guys. So let's go ahead and look at the QQQs, and this is what I mean here. Double top, then a huge flush on higher volume. So is it going to actually break down here like that? Like that's the real question. Is it actually going to break down here? It looks like this might be the actual flush, the actual top. It looks like we're still a little ways away from the overall QQQs finding that area of resistance, but you could call a few different spots resistance. Personally, this 423, you can see all the way back here from January is an area of resistance, but you know, that's hard telling, guys. It's hard telling. This flush might just be another one of those tricky trades. But we'll see, because when this flushes, it usually flushes hard because it creates panic. And here you are, you're starting to see some of that panic right now. I really think this thing could come all the way back down to at least its VWAP area, which its VWAP area, I'll just throw its VWAP on this so you guys can see it. Here, we'll throw VWAP on here. Let's add VWAP on here. We'll apply that. So VWAP is all the way down here at 815. So I think we can at least come back down and retest that 815 to see if it wants to bounce there. We're up about $61 on this trade. I think what I'll do is I'll just lock in a little more than half of this. We'll buy the market here and we'll lock in, you know, what was that? $35 right there. And then we'll hold on to this last 10. And what we're going to do with this last 10 here, guys, is we're just going to hold on to this. We're going to see what it wants to do towards by the end of the day. So what I like to do, because I'm a greedy bastard, is I like to put this to break even. Meaning, if this wants to come back up and stop me out for break even, then so be it. I'm okay with that. So we bought this short at 822 even. So let's move up. And this could be considered, you know, trading, picking up pennies in front of a steamroller. I told you guys last night when we were reading that book that sometimes I do that, you know, and it's not a sustainable edge. But this is what I like to do in these markets. So we took a short at 822 even. It broke down quick. So I'm going to lock in some of those profits because I like to pick up pennies in front of a steamroller. What is the steamroller? Well, NVIDIA is the steamroller. So you have to be very careful. As you guys can see, we went down to a quarter share size. Why? Well, because I went from 100 shares losing on that. Right? We have risk management, so we took a loss. Then we went down to half that share size. We took another loss, guys, and I'm not afraid to tell you guys this because we always learn from our losses. We took another loss at a 50 share size, and then we went down to a quarter share size, right? Where not only are we going to rebuild confidence on this, but we also take a smaller share size because we don't want to bring our issue of losing more, right? Then when we get that flush and we finally find that area where it's going to flush, we're going to take some of that money out of the trade so that way we lock in some of that profit, we reduce our risk, and then we're going to bring our stop to break even so that way if this trade doesn't work out, we're not losing any more money, right? So now we've locked in about $40. And now we're going to see if this last $20 that we have that's riding 10 more shares, just a small 10 shares on NVIDIA, we're going to see, and that's 1/10. If you guys realize that's only 1/10 of the original size that I took. And sure, I could look at this and I go, but I should have taken 100 shares, right? I should have taken 100 shares, but that's not the thing. Okay. That's not what it is here. What it is here, guys, is that I lost twice in a row. That third time is a confidence builder. It's a reboost. And if I would have lost that third time, I would have had to been done trading, okay? I should have been done trading after 2 losses. That's why I reduced my share size to a quarter, okay? Yo, guys, AMC stock is reviving the times of 2020 once again. The apes are here. Be ready for day 2. All right, well, I will tickle your fancy, collector, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We love to see a little bit of that AMC love. Let's see what's going on here. So AMC, let's take a look at this on the daily. We know AMC, we know of their story. If you don't know their story, you haven't been trading for that long. It's a beautiful story of the investors, the retail, the me and the you fighting the big banks, the hedgies. We want to knock them out. We want to take this thing higher and rise faster and quicker. Well, it looks like AMC is finally getting a pop off these very, very lows. Now, you all know that I don't care to look at anything below a 200-day moving average, and this thing is well below a 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is at $12.65, so this has a lot of proving to do. Well, the first step it needs to do is show volume at the lows, making new higher lows. So right now we're at those lows. Let's see if we can get a new higher low put in here, and if it wants to push up higher and create new higher lows, then that might be a nice area to take a bid. But we always want to keep a look at the overall trend of this. A big push up and a pullback, and every time it pops, it drops. Let's hope that that day 2 that collector was talking about can actually happen for the apes, because I would love to be a part of that. But we need some more time. We need to see what is actually going to happen with this overall market. I will say this, there is higher than normal traded volume on this. This average volume recently off these lows is much higher than any of the previous days, weeks, or even months. So that's a good sign if you're a ape. If you think it's going to go higher, that is something that you can talk about. That's something you can be about, is the volume on those $3 lows. So let's go ahead and hope and pray that AMC might have one more push, because if it does, we will definitely be talking more about that. Now let's go back to the S&P 500 after we get this breakdown, this big push, this big flush after breaking this beautiful uptrend that we had all morning, guys. You can see right when we broke this, I took it a little too early, but after it broke here, it broke down, it flushed down hard. As it flushed down, we took a short trade. Now we're just kind of holding on. We're going to see if it wants to continue to flush. But usually in these bear markets, once you start getting some panic, once you start getting a little panic, you start to see a lot more panic, and that's why I wanted to take this. Now, if it comes back up and stops me out for break even, that's a-okay. I've already made my money on this short trade, and what I'm doing, because I'm a greedy bastard, I'm just holding on to this last 10 shares to see if we can get any more, if we can milk any more of this panic out of here, but we don't want to be a part of this if it wants to continue higher, so that's a-okay. Let's take a look at some of the other trades like Kellogg. KLG, we took yesterday off the 10-day moving average lows. We're up about $175 on that trade. NVIDIA, we took a small loss on that. We're down, well, we'll see at the end of the day what we're down, but we're only down about $100 on that. PBF, we're up, a whole $1.75. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm buying the creamer, you buy the coffee. We're gonna have a good time. SPOT, we're up about $17 on. This is pitiful. Well, you know, I was expecting this earning gap up to continue to the north side. Obviously, it found resistance. Those we have people at the very top there selling out on it, and I'm just going to go ahead and move my stop loss up to these lows where we've seen this bid here, so that way if we do take a loss, it'll be a very small loss. We're talking maybe a $10 loss for an expected huge win off this thing, so I'm a-okay with taking a small loss for this, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and take a look one more time at NVIDIA, just because we want to see this thing just fail now. Now, I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just doing a day trade on this. Of course, I would love to see NVIDIA continue to the north side, because NVIDIA is a huge part of the S&P 500 now. You know, it's in the QQQs. A lot of our larger term investment strategics or strategists are in this. It's in a lot of your accounts. So I hope for the longevity of NVIDIA that after it pulls back, because I'm in it, I hope it pulls back, that it will continue higher after that. So if you guys don't have any questions, if you don't have anything for me, I think I'm going to take off. I'm going to go spend some time with the family, maybe eat some lunch, brunch, whatever you want to call it at this time. But I will say this. I do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bob, I got to say thank you. I do appreciate you. Probably the best moderator out there, the best moderator alive. Nobody steal my moderator, please, because I need him. But anyway, guys, the next data to come out is going to be, let me just see, tomorrow. We have durable goods month over month coming out. We want to see those durable goods come out lower. We want to make sure that all the data is coming out lower. It's going to show less resilience in the overall economy, yes, but it'll also show old Papa Powell that his Fed rate stays of 5.5% are actually doing what they are supposed to be doing. All right. So we're going to call that a day, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. So peace. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye. Love ya. See ya. Take care, guys.